切关岛影片分。
And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time, hanging out with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Make sure you make your way over to Great Lakes Honda City. They are open for sales and service, and you can get in touch with them by simply heading out to Great Lakes Honda City on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You can also get in touch with them by getting a sneak peek and going to greatlakeshondacity.com. So as I said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we are up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios. And we have so much coming up for you today where sports truly meets that thing called life, and I cannot wait to hop into it. So inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we're going to start the show off with the Player of the Week. The Player of the Week is honored on Wake Up Call every single Thursday to start the show, and I provide two Players of the Week, as we have the High School Player of the Week and we have the Syracuse Football Player of the Week. Now, the High School Player of the Week can be any sport in Central New York. Any sport, any Player of the Week that I want to nominate. And then, of course, Syracuse Football Player of the Week is from the Syracuse Orange football team, as it states. And so we promised one Player of the Week each week and under-promise, over-deliver, because we give you a High School Player of the Week and a Syracuse Football Player of the Week. So that will start off today's show, proudly presented exclusively by Myers Creek. And then from there, Papa Joe will be joining me, as he always does, on a Thursday. And PJ and I will be talking about Major League Baseball. We'll be discussing the Major League Baseball Wild Card race. If you thought, not just the Wild Card race, playoffs in general, if you thought that these playoffs were figured out, you were wrong. And it looked like the National League was the one that still had to figure it out. That the American League had figured out a lot of things. But right now, the American League, more crazy than the National League. The National League has locked up 5 spots. There's only 1 spot remaining. The 6th and final spot, the 3rd wild card place. That's all that's left. And it's the Diamondbacks, the Reds, and the Mets. But in the American League, the Yankees have now overtaken the American League East. They've overtaken the Blue Jays, and they've overtaken first place in the entire side of the American League. And the Cleveland Guardians have caught up with the Tigers. And the Tigers might miss the postseason. And the Astros are out right now. This is insane. And PJ and I are going to talk about it this morning. Because why not make it crazy right before everything is set? Then we'll jump into college football. We'll take a look at our Week 4 picks, where Papa Joe and I write. Were we wrong? Where do we stand? We'll discuss. Then we'll make our picks for college football Week 5. And then from there, we'll get into the NFL and make our NFL Week 4 picks, but not before we do our NFL Week 4 recap. So with that, or Week 3 recap, I should say. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, it's time for us to hop into the Player of the Week. But I can't do that without showing you exactly what the Player of the Week honor looks like from Myers Creek every week. Let's get it.
There's a lot of stuff here. Everything.
So my first Player of the Week that I am honoring today, my High School Player of the Week, is actually a gentleman that I got to speak with within the last few weeks. And he is someone that his coach describes as specifically this. And this means more to me than any statistic that I can send to you. So this is how he is described by his coach. And I'll tell you who the coach is after. I don't want to give up who the student athlete is yet. He said, quote, "He does a lot of things that won't make the stat sheet, and he is super humbled. He doesn't go looking for the fame or the glory. and is a great leader, teammate, and overall super nice kid. He really embodies what we want from our student athletes. Who is that student athlete? Who is my high school player of the week, presented by Myers Creek? Dominic Paolini, Liverpool boys soccer, who this past week, because as you know, when we honor our players of the week, we're looking at the week prior going into this, or the week leading into this week, right? Because with Syracuse football, we look at whatever happened the week before. So Dominic Paolini, this past few days, this past week, has 2 goals assisted. Those 2 goals assisted go with 2 goals scored, which means that within the last 4 matches for Liverpool boys soccer, he has either scored or assisted a goal. He has won in each of the last 4 matches, including 2 goals assisted within this past week, helping to aid Liverpool boys soccer to a record of 5 wins, no losses, and 1 tie. My high school player of the week, a gentleman that I sat next to, and you can go back and watch our video from Avicoli's, Dominic Paolini. Congratulations, Dominic, to you, to your family, and to your squad. And those words that I read to you about him being humbled, a great leader, a teammate, an overall super nice kid, and that he embodies what they want from their student athletes, that comes from Liverpool boys soccer head coach Paul Bonas. So Dominic, not only do I have the blessing of honoring you today, but your coach gave some incredibly kind and amazing words about who you are and what you stand for. So congratulations once again to Dominic Paolini, our high school player of the week, presented by Myers Creek. Head out to Myers Creek on 33 Rippleton Road in Cazenovia out in the country, and also on 720 Van Rensselaer Street in Syracuse, in the Syracuse Inner Harbor, the home of Wake Up Call game day broadcasts, where we are there on site, on location, on game day for all Syracuse football home games in the 2025 season. Dominic Paolini, Liverpool boys soccer. Keep it going, man. Stay humbled, stay hungry, and thank you for what you're doing in our community to build up your teammates and to move forward in a positive way. Our next player of the week, I cannot bring to you until we do it once again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to give my Syracuse Football Player of the Week, proudly presented by Myers Creek. My Syracuse Football Player of the Week was not an easy decision for me to make by any stretch of the imagination, but I have made it. Now, I have the opportunity to vote in a pretty awesome place, and I haven't given up what that is, but I have the opportunity in college football to have some voting throughout the year. And this is a gentleman who has come across my opportunity for votes in these last couple weeks. He's somebody who deflected a pass that aided Syracuse in winning their game at home in overtime against UConn 27-20. He is somebody who has gone out there most recently on the road at Clemson and helped Syracuse to win by forcing a fumble by the Clemson Tigers. He is a true freshman, and he hails from the great nation that I love of Canada. My Syracuse Football Player of the Week, proudly presented by Myers Creek. Let's see if you could say this name. Antoine Delorier, Syracuse Orange true freshman linebacker who forced a fumble at Clemson, and in the game at Clemson where Syracuse did something they've never done in their history, which is win in Death Valley. The Syracuse Orange true freshman linebacker had 14 total tackles in the game. 8 of those tackles were solo, 6 were assisted. Antoine Delorier with 2 passes defended as well in that game. He has come up huge for the Syracuse Orange, and the question going into the season is that Syracuse linebacker unit, who was going to step up for Syracuse at linebacker, knowing that they had Justin Barron and Marlowe Wax Jr. that had led for so many years, and those guys had moved on, right? Finished up their eligibility, went on to the NFL. So who was going to take up the torch and move the team forward? And people looked to Derek McDonald, the veteran who's been there for many years. And they said, who else is going to get this thing done? And Syracuse's linebacker core in the middle of their defense has been aided by a true freshman. And if he's one of the guys that's helping them move forward, then Syracuse is in a prime position for the future. Because they look to the veterans and they got a ton of aid from the true freshman linebacker. Antoine Delorier, who has had multiple massive moments and been an integral part in making sure that Syracuse defeated UConn a couple weeks ago, and he's our player of the week this week for making sure that Syracuse did something they've never done in their history, which is defeat Clemson at Clemson. Antoine Delorier, my Syracuse football player of the week, coming up with another massive play. And by the way, Syracuse fans and fans in general, the Syracuse Orange football team is known for number 44. But growing up as a kid, I also know that number 5 is a very important and crucial number to the team. It's been worn by some of the greats. And what does Antoine Delorier wear? Number 5. So, Antoine, congratulations. You are my Syracuse Orange football player of the week. Proudly presented by Myers Creek for forcing that fumble at Clemson and for all the work that you did in that game to make sure that the Clemson Tigers were frazzled, running around, and were on the wrong side of the win-loss column for the Syracuse Orange to grab a win on the road in one of their toughest road schedules in many, many years. Make sure you head out to Myers Creek, 33 Rippleton Road in Cazenovia, out in the country. And on Wake Up Call Game Day Live, make sure you head out to Myers Creek on Syracuse Inner Harbor, and that's going to be on 720 Van Rensselaer Street in Syracuse, New York. We look forward to seeing you out there for Syracuse versus Duke. The game is at noon at the Dome, and then Isaac and I will be live with Wake Up Call Game Day at 6 p.m. at Myers Creek. Shout out to Myers Creek. Thank you for all that you do in the country, as well as at the Syracuse Inner Harbor and in general, including your tailgate right outside of the Dome. Myers Creek, big time shout out, and Antoine Delorier, shout out to you. Shout out to Canada, because Syracuse gets some incredible players from Canada. One of them's in the NFL right now, and Matt Bergeron with the Atlanta Falcons on their offensive line. And Antoine Delorier, you keep doing what you're doing. We're going to be talking about an NFL guy right here. Big time congratulations to Antoine Delorier, wearing number 5 very well, and our Syracuse football player of the week. With that being said, PJ is here with me, picture in picture. Papa Joe, what do you think about our players of the week that we just got to honor from Myers Creek?
Good-looking kids. That Delorier is a stud, man. 6'1", 235, a freshman. Wow. He looks like he's going to go a long way.
Yeah, no, definitely very excited about what he can do with his future if he's doing this already as a true freshman. So with that being said, Papa Joe is picture in picture. It is time for us to jump into the Major League Baseball Wild Card and the overall playoffs in general. As I previewed going into this conversation in my intro here on Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios this morning, if you thought that it was figured out, it's not. And if you thought the National League was the one that had to see where teams were going to be shaken out here, the American League in the last week has had so much shuffling that the musical chairs of the American League has really taken the focus. And now we're looking at, do the Detroit Tigers, who had the best record in baseball for a bit, are they even going to make it? Are the Houston Astros going to make it? How are the Yankees the best team in baseball with all the injuries they had, plus not having their ace, Garrett Cole, the entire season? Could the Yankees be in a prime position to play in the World Series at a time where people thought they weren't going to make the playoffs? Will the Mets even make the playoffs for the other borough in New York? Are the Diamondbacks still hot enough to get this thing done? PJ, I have many questions. So does the world. Bring us through it. What's going on?
This is great. taking a look at the American League, like you were talking about, Toronto leads. Seattle's got their area done. Cleveland. The biggest, well, let's see. I say the biggest collapse I can say in recent memory was Detroit Tigers of this year's baseball team. It was an absolute choke from maybe 6 weeks ago to now. 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, we were talking about them being the best team in baseball. They had the best record. They had two of the best pitchers. It doesn't work that way. Like the boomer says, that's why they play the game. You got to go out and play the game. And you got to win. I just loved it. I watched it last night. I couldn't take my eyes off Cleveland. Beat them again. Yeah. So the Yankees are in. Boston, Detroit, Houston are going to. Houston's in a different position than Seattle. Houston didn't give anything away. Seattle went and got it. And I think there's a couple of polls that I would like you to do for me and for the fans out there. Is that who is the American League most valuable player this year? Is it Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh? Okay. And in the National League, is it Kyle Schwarber or is it Shohei Ohtani? So that will be interesting to see.
Yeah. No, and just to make a note there on this, we will be putting those polls up right now on our X, the former Twitter. That's at CalldET, CALLDT once again. So make sure you vote in our polls, and while you're there, make sure you click follow to our X handle, which is at CalldET, CALLDT on X, the former Twitter. We are putting up these polls on the American League MVP race and the National League MVP race. And what PJ just said, that'll be going up momentarily as PJ brings us through where teams are at.
You know, talking about the Tigers' collapse, A.J. Hinch is a hell of a manager. He managed the Houston Astros when they won the series. They had the cheating scandal. Then he got fired. So did the GM got fired. So Detroit knows a good guy when they sees him. So they picked him up, and what does he do? He leads Detroit to really good seasons. He's an excellent coach. He knows his baseball. He's more of an analytic guy, which I don't like. But I mean, I would manage by the field, but he's an analytic guy. So a whole different story. On the Houston side, Seattle's being led by one of the most prodigious sluggers I've seen, other than Aaron Judge, come through in a long time. That's Cal Raleigh. I mean, he has hit 60 home runs, folks. 60 home runs. He's got 125 RBIs. Now, there's a case between both of these guys being MVPs. Judge was in a serious slump there when he got off the IR list. But since then, he's put up some good numbers. He's hitting 326, I think, 327. Got 50 homers or 51 homers and 107, 108 RBIs. Now, he doesn't have to lead his team like Raleigh does. Raleigh doesn't have the kind of players that the Yankees do. And with that being said, the Yankees veterans have stepped up. Cody Bellinger, Goldsmith, and they got a fabulous young player named Ben Rice, who is probably going to be starter for the Yankees for the next 5 years. This kid is a stud. I mean, he can play first base, he can catch, he hits home runs, it's triples, he runs, he does everything. He's a really super player, and I love to see the intensity of him. So when you go to the National League, there's not a lot of drama over there, except for what's happening with the Mets. Now the Mets, we could say in this very same line as the Tigers, the Mets were leading their division too, and I don't think they choked either. I think Philadelphia's got a better team, and they do have a better team. They have better pitching, and their hitting is awesome. So you got Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Los Angeles leading their divisions, which is Dodgers in a little yo-yo situation. Got the Cubs and the Padres are in. Got the Mets and Diamondbacks and the Reds are in it for the last spot. This is what's good about the wild card. I didn't like it when I first heard it years ago, but the more I got into it, really, you're not out of it until the very last couple of weeks of the season. So, unless you're Colorado or Chicago White Sox, where you're out of it when they throw the first pitch out. I think Arizona's playing the best baseball of the three. They're 7-3 in their last 10 starts. I think they're going to throw their ace tonight, Zach Gallen. And I think Arizona's got a serious look. Arizona lost last night. The Mets lost last night, and so did the Reds. You would think that with a couple games left, all you have to do is win one game, and you're going to wind up being in. Mets couldn't do it last night. They looked awful. So they got killed by the Cubs. The Cubs scored 10 runs off or something like that. So we're looking at some really exciting times coming up, and I can't wait for the season to end and for the playoff to start. But, there's some I like statistics just as well as anyone else. And I sort of deviate from the personal statistics to team statistics.
Yeah.
In the American League, the team batting average, Toronto leads with a 265. Well, that doesn't surprise us. You got some baby boppers up there to knock the hell out of the ball. And team pitching for the American League is Texas, 3.45. Now, Texas is still in this thing, but not going to last, I don't think. In the National League, Philadelphia, as expected, is leading the National League hitting with a 260 average. And Milwaukee leads the pitching with a 3.61 ERA. So 3 of these teams that we talked about are in the playoffs. That's why you get to the playoffs. You have good pitching, you have good defense, and you have a bunch of guys that can hit home runs. Kyle Schwarber is a scary-looking dude up there. Not very big. He's not a 6'5" like Ohtani, and maybe 5'11", 220. He's big, burly, big arms. He doesn't waggle his bat at all. He sits up there. He's got his bat sort of hanging in there, All of a sudden, when the pitch comes, he brings his right leg up, and he drives through the ball and just knocks the hell out of it. Love to watch him hit. Yeah. There's plenty of players that are gonna be showcased in the playoffs, and I can't wait for them to start.
Yeah, and as we take a look at it and just put the polls up here this morning and literally just released these polls on X, the former Twitter. Make sure you follow us and vote in our polls. We do polls all the time, pretty much weekly, if not bi-weekly, on Call DT. That's at CALLDT on X, the former Twitter. You could vote this morning. Who will be the 2025 American League MVP? Cal Raleigh of the Seattle Mariners or Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees? And who will be the 2025 National League MVP? Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers or Kyle Schwarber of the Philadelphia Phillies? Early voting is with the American League MVP. And our early voting, because like I said, I just released these within the last 2 minutes. Early voting has Cal Raleigh over Aaron Judge. And Cal Raleigh, we know, already has the record. I think he had to get to 49 home runs in a single season to have the most home runs by somebody who spends 70% of their time at least as a catcher. So he is now the single season leader at the catcher position in all of Major League Baseball history in home runs. And that was when he got to 49. Now the dude's at 60. And I know that people love Aaron Judge, and if Aaron Judge is healthy and Aaron Judge is playing, then he's always up for MVP. And if Shohei Ohtani is healthy and Shohei Ohtani is playing, then he's always up for MVP. He's on, like, if they have an average season comparative to how their statistics have been in other times, if they do okay, people are going to talk about them. And I got all the respect in the world for Aaron Judge. But I don't know how you can say that everything Cal Raleigh did this year for setting a single season record for a catcher in Major League Baseball, for having 60 home runs, and for leading Seattle in a division that's been Seattle, Houston, and Texas for the last few years, fighting to all get in, who's going to win, it comes down to the wire. For Seattle to be where they are right now, for them to rise as high as they have, for them to be leading their division and be one of the top 3 teams in the American League, and for him to have 60 home runs in a year where he sets a new record for catchers, PJ, I love Aaron Judge. I have all of the utmost respect for him. but I don't know how you overlook and put Cal Raleigh in the shadows this season when he is clearly having a career year for him, but also for Seattle and for the catching position for the entire nation.
That's true. He's a stud. And of course, I have to say this for MT. He played his college ball at half-ass U, MT.
Oh!
And I really wasn't too impressed with him when he first got into the big leagues. But, man, when you can switch hit and catch at the same time,
yeah,
it's awesome. I got to say something else here. I thought that Kyle Schwarber was really rolling along. I thought he had this award locked up, and he may yet. But Ohtani has come through. Why has he come through lately is because he's pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last night I caught some of the Dodgers game late, and I don't like to stay up too late. He pitched 6 innings, gave up no runs, 2 hits, struck out 8, and the Dodgers blow the game. Well, folks, when you're in a situation like that and you're going to be in playoffs and you got Ohtani hitting and pitching,
yeah,
that's a hell of a that's a very, very tough to overcome. This kid is only in the conversation with Schwarber because he can pitch the last month of the year. He started out doing 3 innings, then he went to 4 innings, then he went to 5 innings. Now he's at 6 innings. So what can I tell you? And because of that game last night, the Dodgers were in such terrible shape that they bring Clayton Kershaw, the old veteran who's retiring, out of the bullpen to pitch 1 inning. So, the Dodgers are scrambling when they can't do that. They got to show some love for Ohtani. If he pitches, the boppers have got to start hitting. So that's something I wanted to say. And the only reason he's in the conversation with Schwarber is because of that.
Yeah, and as we get closer and closer to this, I mean, Kyle Schwarber, keep in mind, I mean, he's done a lot of things this season. The Phillies were behind the Mets for a while, and then they overtook first place in the NL East. Then they lost it. Then they took it back, and since they've taken it back, they have held on to this thing. And so, I mean, you have to look at where these teams are. You have to look at, okay, Cal Raleigh, not only is he doing extremely well, but look at where his team is. Not only is Kyle Schwarber doing extremely well, but look at where the Phillies are. I mean, they're leading their divisions. They've helped to guide their teams to the postseason. And both of these guys have aided their teams to being the 2nd seed, which means that they will sit out the wild card and automatically advance to the divisional round. That being Cal Raleigh with Seattle in the American League and Kyle Schwarber with the Phillies in the National League. And the crazy thing when we're talking about all these standings is as of yesterday, before yesterday night, the Yankees were the number 1 team in the American League. The Blue Jays took it back over. They have the same record, 90-68. So we have not decided. People thought the Toronto Blue Jays, they got it. They got it. The Yankees have been playing better, but the Yankees were the 4 seed. The Yankees were the 4 seed for the American League out of 6 seeds, which means that they were the top wild card because you have the 3 divisional leaders that are the top 3 seeds depending on what record they had, and if they have ties, what's head to head, they figure out that seeding, and then 4 through 6 are those wild card teams, and the Yankees were the 4th seed. They're the 4th seed right now, but they have the exact same record as the Blue Jays, and they went into yesterday morning, being the number 1 seed. So this is going to decide who, I mean, it's who plays at home, who plays on the road, who doesn't have to worry about playing in the wild card, who does. The Yankees and the Blue Jays haven't figured it out yet. The Yankees could end up, and that's the thing. The Yankees can go from 4 to 1. The Blue Jays can drop from 1 to 4. This is massive that the Yankees are in a position right now where they can still be the number 1 overall team in the American League. As good as the Mariners have done and all the work the Cleveland Guardians have done as of late, that the Yankees could still overtake everybody. Or it could be the Blue Jays. Who would have thunk that the Blue Jays could be the top team in the American League? And they still have the opportunity to do that. And the Detroit Tigers, who has had a greater fall? Nobody. And the Houston Astros are 1 game away from them. The Red Sox have hung tough at 5, and the Mariners have overtaken their division. None of that is settled. But in the National League, we know that 5 teams are settled. The Brewers have been the best team in baseball. They're almost to 100 wins in 162 games. When all's said and done, they might get there. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Dodgers, like PJ talked about. The Cubs have hung true in that top wild card spot with the 4th overall seed in the National League, and the Padres have hung at 5. But the Mets and the Diamondbacks and the Reds are all within striking distance. The Diamondbacks and the Reds are 1 game out. Earlier this week, it was the Reds and the Mets tied for the last wild card spot, and the Reds were above them. Then the Diamondbacks came up to right behind the Mets. The Mets took it, and the Reds fell behind the Diamondbacks. This thing has consistently been shifting. The Diamondbacks have been winning. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Mets were 2-8, and then a few days later, it remained at 2-8. They hadn't been doing that well. They've been on the losing side of things more than they've been winning, 3-7. But now they're 5-5. The Reds are 6-4. So where we stand right now, the Reds have lost 2 games in a row. And like you said, PJ, the Mets and the Diamondbacks lost last night. The Diamondbacks are right there. They were there last year. They are right at the cusp. But they have to win, and the Mets have to lose. The Cubs have to show up and defeat the Mets. And the Diamondbacks have to defeat the big bad wolf, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who love to huff and puff and blow everybody's house down. So as we sit here today, PJ, when we talk about some of these teams, it's not just they win. They got to win and hope somebody loses. But I love the fact that the Mariners and the Astros have still not decided who the division goes to, even though the Astros are out of the playoffs right now. The Tigers and the Guardians have not decided what's going down. The Yankees and the Blue Jays have not decided what's going down. So we're not just talking about who's going to make the wild card team. We're talking about who could go from the bottom of the barrel of barely making it to going all the way to the top 3 seeds. This thing can look very different from week to week. Last week it was different than this week. It may be different tonight. And that's what I love about it, is that the wild card is still very much alive in the National League. It's very much alive in the American League. But in the American League, PJ, we're talking about teams that within a couple games can get back in their divisional lead, jump a bunch of spots, and put themselves... I mean, think about it. You can go from being out of the playoffs or barely in to leading your division and not having to play in the wild card round, sitting out and automatically advancing. The Yankees and the Blue Jays are going to decide who the best team in the American League is, and then one of them gets to sit through the first round. This is so awesome that nothing truly has been declared in a lot of cases, and I'm very excited.
True. Now, sometimes statistics can fool you, and I like to use the statistics in a way that make people understand what's happening. Daniel's a big Mets fan, which is fine. I'm a Mets fan too, but Pete Alonso has hit 37 homers and knocked in 123 runs. No one has even said anything about that, nor is he being considered for an MVP. Why? Because you got Ohtani in the damn league. Oh, if the Mets win, listen to me now, if the Mets can get in the wild card, he may sneak in. Now think about that. 37 homers, 123 RBIs. He's not a big slugger, but he's a timely bat.
Yeah.
Ohtani, 53 homers, 99 RBIs. He's going to have 100 RBIs before the season is over. But Schwarber is just killing it. 56 homers, 132 RBIs. And one of my favorite players and your favorite players is Corbin Carroll of Arizona. Now, he got off to a slow start because he was hurt. But he's hit 31 homers, knocked in 84 runs, and batted a good 262. Again, when a team is looking for a spark or they're looking for something to get over a hump, they just rely on these people that I just mentioned. If you're going to have a 2-1 deficit in the bottom of the ninth inning, you got a man on and you got someone at the plate. You want Kyle Schwarber at the plate. or you want Corbin Carroll to play, or you want Pete Alonso to play, because those guys deliver. And you can tell by the statistics that I said, this is true. So when everything is over and everything's settled, then we'll come back and I'll have the final stats and my opinions on the final stats and what players will lead their teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, we got a question that came in here. Mike is a big-time Blue Jays fan, and he wants to know, he said, you got to ask PJ, what's going on with the Blue Jays? What's the problem with the Blue Jays right now?
Well, of course, it's pitching. Always is pitching and defense. But I think one of their big players this year, from a standpoint of hitting, is Bo Bichette. And Bo Bichette is a hell of a shortstop, and he's a hell of a hitter. And he's got major league stock because his dad played for years. This kid is going to be probably a $300 million player for someone next year if the Toronto doesn't get him. He's injured, and he's not going to be playing. Now, for you to say that, our fan, and for me to say it now, for the last week or 10 days, he's been out.
Yeah.
The production of Toronto has been off. One person at this time of the year can make a big difference. And in my opinion, Bo Bichette is that person.
Yeah, and as you say that, the echo chamber says that's Cal Raleigh for Seattle. And, that makes perfect sense. And if the Diamondbacks are going to get it done, we know that they've had a committee, and Corbin Carroll back in 2023 had a fantastic rookie season. So we'll see what happens as we get closer and closer. People say the best ability is availability. You got to be healthy. You got to get out there, and hopefully these guys will. By the way, the early votes continue to come in on X, the former Twitter, @CallDT, CALLDT. Who will be the American League MVP here in 2025? Cal Raleigh or Aaron Judge? Early voting continues. 100% Cal Raleigh.
Oh, boy.
In the National League, early voting, who will be the National League MVP here in 2025? Shohei Ohtani or Kyle Schwarber? Early voting, only Shohei Ohtani. We will take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, PJ and I will go into the college football worlds. We'll recap week 4 and how things went down. We'll talk about something that's been on my mind. I got to woof about something, and I know he's going to woof about something. My woof has to do with the coach. His woof has to do with the coach. We'll woof about it after this fast break. College football week 4 recap and week 5 picks coming up on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You know what to do, but I'll tell you anyways. Stay with us. And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. We want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. You can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. A delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Kaz location and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point, because you get a little something different at each one. We understand how hard it is to, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily?
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. And you can get in touch with them for sales and service by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. That is GreatLakesHondaCity.com. You can also get a sneak peek of their inventory at GreatLakesHondaCity.com to see what cars are available to you on the lot. And there's a game day sales event. How about this? Game day sales event. I want to let everybody know about this that is here for you. So you got the 2026 CRV Sport Hybrid and the 2026 CRV LX that are happening right now and there's some awesome opportunities. So make sure you head out to GreatLakesHondaCity.com, take a look at it, see the sales event. You can shop their game day sales going on right now and get that sneak peek by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. And I absolutely love my CRV. I got a 2025 and I love it. So very excited for what Great Lakes Honda City is doing. Make sure you check them out today. Let them know the DT sent you to 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool. Mike wrote in, I support Dabo. Clemson's a great powerhouse in college football. So, PJ, I think we should woof before we go and look at our picks. But actually, you know what? Let's go to the recap, because the recap affects what we're about to talk about. So before we woof, let's go to the recap. The recap for college football week 4 is up on your board right now. Here are the picks that we made. We make picks every single week in the 2025-26 season. We are 4 weeks in, and I am going to assess how PJ and I did, and then, of course, we will discuss. So let's take a look at week 4, going back in time here. And going to that Utah game is the first one that we have here. Utah and Texas Tech. Well, this game was boring as all get out for a while. It was 10-3, and then Texas Tech woke up late in the game in the second half and won 34-10. So PJ and I got that one incorrect. The Utah Utes fallen in that matchup. The next one we had was Arkansas, and we had this Arkansas game here where they took on the Memphis Tigers. Memphis won 32-31. I don't know. I thought I picked Memphis, but apparently I did not. And so Memphis came back, won the game. One of the feathers in the cap for the American Conference. Once again, Memphis defeated Arkansas. Tulsa defeated Oklahoma State. And when I say once again, I mean yet 2 more reasons why the American is so much better than people give them credit for. And I will continue to bang that drum because they continue to give me a reason why. SMU went up in their game, and taking a look at how SMU did. By the way, the time's been set for Syracuse versus SMU, and that is going to be at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which is going to be 2:30 in Dallas, Texas, for the upcoming road game for Syracuse over there on October 4th. And as we look at SMU and where they stand, and I keep thinking SMU still in the American. I know they're in the ACC, but it's been crazy because I cover both leagues very, very closely. So let's take a look at SMU. TCU, they lost the game 35-24. That game was on the road between former SMU head coach Sonny Dykes and current SMU coach Rhett Lashley. So PJ and I got a tic-tac-toe, but not in a good way, to start things off here. And let's go and take a look at Oregon and how Oregon fared in week 4. The Oregon Ducks, PJ, do it with me. The Oregon Ducks, taking a look at how they looked in this matchup. They were able to defeat Oregon State 41-7 at home in Eugene, Oregon. So the Oregon Ducks move forward. PJ and I get that victory. And then Oklahoma, who has had themselves a good season. Last year, not great in their first trip in the SEC. This time around, they're doing all right. And they defeated Auburn 24-17. That game was against 2 top 25s at the time of play. Oklahoma was number 11 in the country. Oklahoma gets that victory over Auburn, who came to town. Nebraska, it took everything Michigan had to beat Nebraska. They won 30-27 on the road. PJ and I picked the upset, and we were within a field goal shot of that happening. And then Notre Dame got their first win of the season, but they were already ranked. And then they moved up the polls for beating an unranked team. What is happening? So anyways, but Notre Dame beats Purdue, and, we all thought it was going to happen. So Notre Dame defeats Purdue, and they move up in the polls. And so that game was 56-30. And so PJ and I got that one correct. And then in the next matchup that we had South Kakalaki and South Carolina. I don't know why people are sleeping on South Carolina. They lost to a Vanderbilt team who was good last year and good this year. But people, I don't know. They get worried about this. They think they're following the old narratives that Vanderbilt is the worst team in the SEC, and clearly they're not. They played spoiler last year. Arguably, they had 2 or 3 teams that they helped keep out of the college football playoff, Alabama being one of them. So looking at South Carolina in their recent game against Missouri, Missouri won that game 29-20. That game was in Missouri, so PJ and I got that one wrong. And the illest of the Noi, we had this one too. Illinois going up against Indiana. 2 ranked teams in the top 20. You don't say. And one of them was ranked 9, Illinois. And one of them was ranked barely in the top 20. I think they were 19, Indiana. Guess who Illinois beat en route to being the number 9 team in the country? Nobody. So they had a record of 0-3. Guess who Indiana beat just like last year? Nobody. So they got to the top 20, and Indiana spanked Illinois, and Illinois did not fall out of the top 25. Ain't that something? Remember when Clemson lost to Georgia, and Georgia was ranked number 1 in the nation, and Clemson almost fell completely out of the polls? I think they dropped 14 spots. I think they dropped 11 spots or 14 spots. Well, Illinois is still in the top 25 for losing to Indiana by a lot. They lost to Indiana by 53 points. Some teams don't score 53 points all season. Some teams don't score 53 points in 2 games. 63-10, they lose this game. And this exposes, once again, why are these teams in the top 10? How does a team in the nation's top 10 that the media and the coaches believe is one of the best teams in the country, top 10 out of 130 plus schools, lose by 53 points? You want to know how? Because they should have never been ranked. They should have never been up there. You lose by 53 points and you're number 9 in the country? They just had a bad day, Dan. Yeah, okay. So, Illinois lost. PJ and I'll never pick Illinois again. I'm kidding. so I'm kidding.
Well, we're getting killed.
Oh, I'm kidding. So, we are getting killed. However, we've had some good weeks going into this. But, however, let's go into this one. I believe in Scott Frost. I believed in Scott Frost. I continue to believe in Scott Frost. And it got real frosty for North Carolina down in Orlando because you might come down there and have the heat, but they left in a frost. UCF gets the victory 34-9 over Mr. Bill Bellies. And Bill Belichick is 2-2 on the season right now. And we got that one correct as UCF gets the victory. And then the Miami Hurricanes, ranked number 4 in the country. PJ and I went with Miami over PJ's Florida, and we got that one correct. And then PJ and I decided to pick Syracuse. Now, I feel like I can't take full credit for this because when I made my ultimate prediction and I did my score, I said I want to pick Syracuse, but I feel like Clemson's going to win. So on our board, I got this right, but I flipped my pick later on in the week. So this was the pick that I made first. However, I feel like I can't take full credit, and I'm an honest broadcaster, so I'm not going to give myself credit. I'm going to give PJ credit for this one. So PJ, we have 2-3. Let's see here. 2-3, 2-4, 3-4, 3-5, 3-6, 4-6, 5-6, 6-6. So PJ goes 6-6 in this. Let's get this up here on our board. So college football week 4, PJ goes 6-6, and I'm going to give myself 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to say 5-7 for me because I'm not going to give myself.
6-6.
Oh, well, I'm not going to give myself the Syracuse one because I changed toward the end of the week. So I'm not going to give credit where credit is not due. I changed my thoughts, so I'm going to underline this one. PJ, your take on how this past week of college football went?
Upsets were terrible. I mean, I know we're a couple of pundits, but we should have done a better job picking than that. Those is awesome. I'm surprised at Indiana, although last year they came up and spanked some people 8-2 and were ranked. I don't think they're for real, but they sure looked for real last weekend. My Gators don't have it, and I'm concerned about 2 things. I'm concerned about Coach Bill Napier, who of course is going to be on a hot seat, and of course I'm I'm a little concerned about our sophomore quarterback, DJ Lagway, who was the National League or the American Player of the Year, senior year in high school. Played as good as a freshman last year, won 4 of the last 5 games when he came back. But there's a spark missing with Florida. They played a decent game against Miami. They held them a little bit. I mean, they have a good defense, but I'm really concerned about the program as it sits.
Yeah.
I go back a long ways with Coach Spurrier and going through the years of Urban Meier and Sheet Meier and everything else. So I'm a little concerned that here's what I'm afraid of. This is what I'm afraid of. And this happens to do with the kids. This is why I'm so pissed off about college football and the coaches and stuff. And these kids can get up and leave.
Yeah.
If they don't win here, they're going to get up and go somewhere else. And that's what's going to happen. Florida's number 7 team last year in recruiting. Those kids are going to get up and leave because they don't care about it. They don't care about Florida. They don't care about education. They care about where they're going and what they can win. I want to be on TV. I want to wear long dreadlocks, and I want to go to the NFL. That's all they think about.
Well, the tough thing is that, we're living in a society, like you said, of people want it now. They don't want to compete. They don't want to wait. And then look at what happens. What did Fran Brown say? Fran Brown said, look at, right? I asked him about Davian Kerr, DB, who got an interception that helped to silence Clemson for good on the road last week, and a guy who stepped in the third quarter in quarterback Ricky Collins Jr. And I said, look at this, right? Next man up. Davian Kerr, if he had said, I'm not playing, I'm not starting, I'm leaving, he wouldn't have risen to be a starter last year, wouldn't have gotten in the punt return game, wouldn't have gotten in the defense, and wouldn't be out there right now intercepting Cade Klubnik. Ricky Collins Jr., if he lost the job to Steve Angeli and said, you know what, I'm leaving, I didn't come here for this, I came here to play, he wouldn't be the starting quarterback right now. The reality of it all is you are one play away, and these guys that don't win the starting job and run away, they might be the starter right now if they had continued to work. So that's something to look at, folks. Really prime examples. I talked with Fran Brown and the quarterback's coach, Nunzio Campanelli, about it. Now, what do you think? Well, there's a poll that I'm putting up right now. What do you think will happen with Billy Napier this season? So your choices are he'll remain head coach. He'll be fired mid-season, or he'll be fired at the end of the season, at the end of the year. So let me put end of year. Okay. So he'll remain head coach in 2026. So what do you think will happen with Billy Napier this season? He'll remain head coach. He'll remain the head coach. He'll be fired mid-season, or he'll be fired at the end of the year. I want to get your thoughts on Billy Napier. So what do you think will happen with Billy Napier as head coach of the Florida Gators? Now, PJ is obviously a big fan of the Florida Gators, and so is Brendan Murphy, who was with me at the beginning of the week with DT and Murphy. He is a big-time fan, and so is PJ. And he has already stated that he wants Billy Napier gone. He's been adamant about it. I am never, a proponent for somebody losing their job. I'm not a fan of things like that. That's why I'm really careful about how I'm writing this right now, because I want to know what people are thinking, what's on your mind, but I want to respect Billy Napier because I feel like, so many people are armchair quarterbacks. So what do you think will happen with Billy Napier as head coach of the Florida Gators? He'll remain head coach in 2026. He'll be fired mid-season, or he'll be fired at the end of the year. I want to get your thoughts on where you think things are at, but I do want to preface it by saying I'm asking just to get the pulse of what's going on, but I fully never am for somebody losing their job. It's really sad, and even when coaches struggle, so many people that have opinions they're not around these coaches. I am. And so it's really different when you humanize people and you don't just treat them like puppets or like monkeys that are dancing in a circus. These are people that matter. They're just like you and me. They're working really hard, and PJ and I are going to woof about it in a second. Not before I let you know what's going on in the polls. Who will be the 2025 National League MVP, Shohei Ohtani or Kyle Schwarber? 80% Ohtani, 20% Schwarber. And in the American League, is it Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh that'll be the American League MVP in 2025? Raleigh had all the votes. Now it's 66.7 Cal, 33.3 Aaron Judge. And you can vote in my Billy Napier poll. And I already got a vote that came in. What do you think will happen with Billy Napier as head coach of the Florida Gators? He'll remain head coach in 2026. He'll be fired midseason, or he'll be fired end of year. Early voting says he'll be gone at the end of the year, in their opinion. So, PJ, we're talking about coaches, letting them go. I'm going to woof about something. You're going to woof about something before we make our Week 5 picks. Your woof is up first. Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State, let go. And when I put out the news that he was let go, I also put out next to that news what his record has been. In 2005, as the head coach of Oklahoma State, he went 4-7. Then he went 7-6, 7-6, 9-4, 9-4, 11-2, 12-1, 8-5, 10-3, 7-6, 10-3, 10-3, 10-3, 7-6, 8-5, 8-3 in the, was that the COVID year? Yeah, 8-3 in the COVID year, 12-2 after COVID, 7-6, 10-4, 3-9 last year, 1-2 so far this year. This was the information I put up. Mike Gundy has been let go from the position of head coach for the Oklahoma State Cowboys football program of the Big 12. He had 18 straight seasons with a winning record from 2006 to 2023. The last game he coached was a 19-12 home loss to in-state team Tulsa. The Cowboys are 1-2 on the season. Offensive coordinator Doug Meacham will be the interim head coach for the Cowboys. 18 straight winning records, including 3 straight 10-3, and did not have a losing record from 2006 when I was in college to 2023, which was 2 years ago. Your thoughts, PJ?
Well, I have thoughts on it. Let me go back to Billy Napier before I start on that.
Okay.
Billy Napier was supposed to be an offensive guru. His teams before scored a lot of points, won a lot of games. I think Billy needs to recognize that he shouldn't call the plays anymore. And he probably should have thought about that a couple games ago. Because Lagway is a stud. I mean, he can play the game. He can throw them, he can run, he can do anything. And Napier, I think, is holding him down because he's not using his quarterback to the best of his ability. I think if Billy cedes his offensive play calling, then perhaps maybe they would score better. And after the first half, Daniel, they didn't even have 50 total yards in offense. Against the worst, if there's the worst teams, you're going to have 200. Against a team like Miami, you wind up with less than 50 yards. I'm upset about that. Anyway, let me go back to Gundy.
Okay, I want to say this really quick about Napier because you made mention. I want to do this before we get into Gundy. Now, looking at things right now, Billy Napier, what is he going to do with the play calling, like you said? During an SEC coaches teleconference call that happened yesterday, Billy Napier told reporters that he intends to be the primary play caller still with the team. So he will continue to call plays for the Florida offense. Earlier during the teleconference, Napier called speculation that quarterback DJ Lagway might opt out of the rest of the season, quote-unquote, comical. So that is an interesting piece of this. Now, let's see. Napier said there is a quote-unquote renewed emphasis within the offense. Now, he said the entire team has to play better. Quote, I think there's a renewed emphasis on accountability. Obviously, we have to play better. Every position group is contributing to our issues. So I know obviously a lot is made of DJ in his situation, but I do think when we look at it from a big picture standpoint, we've got to play better around him. And then just some of the points of emphasis are eliminating negative plays. And I do think that first down efficiency has contributed to some of our problems as well. But in general, I think we have to address that part of our team, and there's got to be some changes. And certainly that's what we're doing, end quote. So he has told us, PJ, that he is not going to stop calling plays.
Well, it disturbs me. I don't know what to say about that, Daniel. I'm just, I'm of course, a graduate of the University of Florida. I mean, I believe my orange and blue, but I also, call it like I see it, like I called it LSU winning a game and Miami winning a game against Florida. If I was a fair weather fan, I could have picked Florida and embarrassed myself. But no, and Billy, you got to look at the whole thing. You got an absolute stud that's playing quarterback. Now, you got 2 freshman wide receivers that were All-Americans last year, 2 5-star wideouts, both of them 6'3".
Right.
You can't get the ball to them? No, something's wrong.
And what's
something's
the important?
And it's not Lagway. To me, it's not Lagway.
Well, here's
I think
the thing.
Billy needs to see the plays up. I still think he can hold his job if he does something different with the offense. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and my response on what he's doing is, why the hell do you have an offensive coordinator? Why do you have a guy?
I don't know why these guys do these things.
Why do you have Russ Callaway as your offensive coordinator and tight ends coach? You've given the guy the title of running the offense. Offensive coordinator, by definition, coordinator of the offense. So what does Russ Callaway do during the game? He puts on a headset and he just listens to you?
That must be what he does. I don't get it. I want to see them win. I want to see them, do well at the end of the year. And I know it was a brutal schedule, and it is a brutal schedule. If they can get to a bowl game, maybe Billy can save his job. But I don't see that happening. I think that he certainly will be let go by the end of the year, and he'll be owed a bunch of money. So
yeah,
I'm on to Mike Gundy.
All right, go ahead with Gundy.
All right, listen, folks. I've been pissed off the last couple of years, maybe 3-4 years, about what's happening in college sports. Basketball, baseball, football, whatever, lacrosse, volleyball. The coaches are leaving. Why are they leaving? Because of the NIL stuff that we talk about all the time. Should the NLA even be relevant for college athletes? We talk about kids not caring about going to school because for the first semester, they don't attend any classes. If they're not playing football, they'll leave.
Yeah.
So where does that leave an old-timer, a grumpy guy like Grundy? Grundy's a character. He's like Mike Leach or Nick Saban. I mean, these guys bleed college football.
Yeah.
And did you kick him to the side like this? I mean, sure, Grundy has his problems, but, he's a hell of a coach. Is he going to be unemployed long? No. Somebody's going to pick him up real fast. So, folks, what I'm saying is that it's not fair. It's not fair to a coach who has won over the years. Now, suppose Saban was coaching the last couple of years and Alabama was 8-5 or 7-6 or something like that. You don't think they'd throw Nick Saban out? Hell yes, they would. So they're leaving of their own accord, which is fine. You have other coaches that have left because of this, which is fine. They recognize it. They don't want to be part of this anymore, Daniel.
Yeah.
And what we're watching is we're not watching college athletics at its best right now. We're watching money at its best.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And there's been so many warnings of this, and I've talked about it at length here on the show that, I wrote an article, and the article ended with, if you don't put a fence around the horses, you'll be chasing them every night. And that's where we are. And it's sad. Okay, so I'm going to take your woof about Gundy, and I'm going to woof about Dabo Swinney. What is that song? What Have You Done For Me Lately? Is it by Paula Abdul? And so I love Paula Abdul, but she never intended her song to be the thing that people use to talk stupidly. And let's discuss. Dabo Swinney, I'm just going to, I know people are allergic to facts in today's America. I know that facts scare people, but I'm going to give you some facts and I'm going to scare the crap out of you this morning. Okay? Early Halloween present, time to scare you. Here we go. Dabo Swinney. Since taking over, now in 2008, he only coached 7 games. So when he was the official head coach in 2009, and it was his team the whole season, let's go from there. Dabo Swinney, 9-5, 6-7. The loss was in the bowl game. He was 6-6 going into the bowl game. 10-4, 11-2, 11-2, 10-3, 14-1, 14-1, 12-2, 15-0, 14-1, 10-2, 10-3, 11-3, 9-4, 10-4. What have you done for me lately? Go to the college football playoff. What have you done for me lately in the 21st century? Go to 4 national championship games and win 2 of them. What have you done for me lately? Been in a bowl game every year that he's been a head coach. How many coaches can say that they've been to a bowl game every single season that they have had the main whistle on the sideline? How many coaches can say they've been to the college football playoff 1 time? How many coaches can say they've been to the college football playoff national championship 1 time? How many coaches can say they've been to the national championship more than 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times? How many people can say that they led their team to the college football playoff on numerous occasions, numerous seasons, and he went there last year? When this man goes 9-4, 10-4, y'all lose your minds. Clemson played Texas tough. People think, oh, that was a blowout game. Did y'all watch the game? Or did you just hear a narrative and follow it because, oh, the news told me that I got to put on a chicken suit so I don't get COVID? So let's be real. What has this man done? Win. What has he done? Win consistently. Go to the college football playoff. What is your gripe? How many times does he have to win the ACC? 8 out of the last 10 years? This man has won the ACC almost 100% of the time in recent history. Show me somebody who's won their conference 50% of the time. Show me somebody who is consistently doing it. Well, Alabama, Dan, with Nick Saban. Well, Nick Saban ain't coaching no more, honey. Kirby Smart is the only coach that can even have a sniff of Dabo Swinney, because he's done pretty well, but he hasn't coached as long for Georgia. He's there, but he hasn't coached as many years. Dabo Swinney is the top. So let me holler at you for a second. If you want to fire Dabo Swinney, let this be the moment that you said, I want every coach in America in college football in the FBS of 130 plus programs to get fired. Because if you fire the best, well, everybody else is below him. So if you fire Dabo Swinney, well, he's got more of a case to keep his job than anybody in the nation right now. So if you fire Dabo Swinney, you better be firing everybody. Because if making it to the college football playoff 1 time is the marker, how many coaches have never made it? How many programs have never made it? How many have never sniffed it, got close to it? Let's be real. This is an idiotic conversation made by people who just want to stir the pot. And the moment you start saying stuff like this because you're bored and you want clicks on your website, you get fans crazy. And you know that fans are just there's fans and fanatics, and they're not the same. A fan will constructively criticize you when they feel like they need to, but they'll still love you. A fanatic will show up to the game with their head turned in the other direction, speaking gibberish that makes no sense. A fanatic goes to a game and they hate their wife and they scream at the coach because they can't yell at their wife at home because she run the house. That's what a fanatic is. A fanatic is somebody on the internet that would never say it to your face. A fanatic is somebody who wants to fight with someone in the parking lot for no reason. Guy's out there making hot dogs, and a guy comes up to him and goes, hey, man, you gonna make a hot dog like that? I'm gonna kick you in the face. What? Go in the stadium and shut the hell up. Fanatics are whack jobs that are waiting for one media person to say one stupid thing so that they can go, somebody else believes what I believe. That fairies live inside of all of us. That sometimes unicorns get in our exhaust pipe and we have to pay $1,000 for the dealership to take them out. Stop. Okay? Dabo Swinney is the best coach in America. And if you think I'm wrong, well, I would question your intelligence. How is he not the best coach? You know, Georgia had to hope that Tennessee missed a field goal to win that game. So, if it ain't Dabo, it's who? Kirby. If it ain't Kirby, it's who? Nobody. It ain't Kalen DeBoer. It ain't Billy Napies. It ain't James Franklin. It's not Marcus Freeman. Not right now. Because nobody's done the body of work that this man has done. Dabo Swinney getting fired? Are you stupid? Probably. But see, the reality of it all is we live in a world where it is Paula Abdul's song on repeat. What have you done for me lately? And what Dabo has done lately is go 1-2. But what Dabo has done career-wise, well, Dan, we're not talking about 5 years ago, Dan. We're not talking about 6 years ago, Dan. Well, again, what coach 5 or 6 years ago was going to the national championship, winning the national championship? The college football playoff is a little bit over a decade old. And this man's been in almost half of those national championships. National championship, not in it, not just in the semi or in the first round, in the national championship. So you want to fire a guy because last year he went 10-4 and went to the college football playoff. He was one of 12 teams of over 130. You want to fire him? A guy that just won the ACC last year? If this isn't good enough, then nothing's good enough. And I'll tell you this. Some of y'all wanted Nick Saban to get fired within the last few years because you were bored and you had to yell at somebody. And the wall that you typically talk to wasn't talking back to you that day, so you had to talk to somebody else on the internet. And how did it work out for you? Are you happy that Nick Saban's not the head coach? Are you happy that you ran him out of college football? Are you happy that all this stupidity is what got us where we are right now? And people are mad at what? Dabo Swinney for what? For not following what everybody else is doing, following the leader. There are people critiquing Dabo Swinney for being who he is. You need to change with the times. What does Dabo Swinney care about, first and foremost? God. What does he care about after that? Building young men. And what do you have a gripe with him for? Because he's not bringing in transfers. He needs to get with the times. He needs to do what everybody else is doing. Oh, that's how it is? Wherever the majority goes, that's where you're supposed to go? Well, guess what, folks? Sometimes the majority is wrong. And how many times has America seen that? So, Dabo Swinney is critiqued for not building a team out of transfers, stealing players from other schools, tampering, because that's what people are doing right now. So he's being put on the chopping block because of his morals, his values, and the fact that he actually wants to go to high schools and recruit kids out of high school, because the more transfers you take, the less kids are not going to have opportunities coming out of high school. And what's going to happen with those kids? You have all these children that are trying to get to college football from high school and prep school. If you keep taking transfers, you're going to minimize the spots that they have. If you minimize the spots that they have nowhere to go. People that are in college already. They're there. Kids that are trying to get in, this is their only hope. This is their only shot. They don't have money to go to college. They don't have the opportunity unless you give them the opportunity. Dabo Swinney is one of the only coaches left trying to keep high school sports alive. High school football alive. So you want him to change and spit on kids from high school like so many other places have? You want him to change from his faith and his morals and values? You want him to stop caring about the man and building the man? You want him to win right now, but you don't want him to create good men who end up being good husbands, good fathers, good business owners, and good people in society. You want him to abandon everything he stands for because he needs to get with the times. That has got to be one of the dumbest reasons to do something. Well, you just need to jump in the pot, give up God, give up your morals, give up your values, give up everything you care about and everything you've built on and everything you've won national championships on, because you need to care about money and stealing kids from other schools, because that's what everybody else is doing. Well, if I've learned everything about my entire business was based on the fact that I did everything that everybody else wasn't doing. And now everybody wants to play on my field. So Dabo, who I've talked to personally, one-on-one, a couple months ago, just him and I, nobody else, who I've interviewed for years upon years upon years, who he is as a man and what he stands for, of everything that I know about him, why would I tell him to change that? You want him to stop being himself so he can get in line with 100 other people going in this direction. So you want him to be one of 100 instead of one of one. Dabo being one of one is how he got to where he is right now. Dabo being one of one is why Clemson matters right now. Dabo being one of one is why you're all complaining right now. If you didn't have Dabo, you'd have nothing to bitch about. Because what was Clemson before Dabo? Nothing. It's funny how y'all hate on a guy who made you somebody. He made you matter. He made you stand out. He gave you a reason. He gave you a place. And you want to complain about him? You want to fire the guy that put you on the map. Who knew about Clemson before Dabo Swinney? Remember when Philadelphia ran Andy Reid out and thought that he was going to retire maybe? And he became one of the best coaches in the nation. So you want to run Dabo out? I'm going to tell you this right now. There's 130 plus FBS schools. You run Dabo out of Clemson, there's going to be 130 plus phone calls to Dabo's cell. Because whatever coach they got, he ain't Dabo. Ain't nobody Dabo. Okay? You're going to want him in Alabama. Why do you want him in Alabama? You think he sucks in Clemson, but you want him to go to Alabama? You think he's putting up, you think that this is a whole, this is all just smoke and mirrors and he's just trying to go to Alabama? If he wanted to go to Alabama, he would have gone to Alabama. That job was open. It's just funny how the standards that you want him to be at the level at is a standard he created. You're attacking a man for not living up to the standard that didn't exist before him. See, but you don't want to have these conversations because you don't want to talk about facts. And you don't want to have these conversations because you'll be proven wrong. Your argument falls upon itself when you're mad at Dabo for not being more Dabo-like. You want Dabo of the past because you think Dabo in the present is not as good as Dabo in the past. Isn't that funny? How the thing that you want the most is for him to be him because the coaches before him, they weren't him. And the coaches after him, I'm going to tell you this right now. How's Alabama looking, baby? How are they looking right now? You going to pick them in any one of those big games? You think they got anybody's number right now? And I'm not trying to knock Kalen DeBoer, but I'm asking you a question. Without Nick Saban, who's Alabama? Who? And Dan Mullen got fired for doing what? Nothing wrong in Florida. And what's Florida been without Dan Mullen? What was Syracuse without Paul Pasqualoni? He got fired for being 6-6. It is, to this day, the worst mistake that Syracuse ever made. Syracuse University had not overcome the loss of Paul Pasqualoni by their own hand for 2 decades. Fran Brown is the only sniff of a hope that their 2-decade-old mistake doesn't haunt them for 3 decades. So y'all can speak what you want to speak because you think when you're on the internet, we all got a voice, okay? And we do all have freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom of consequence. And you don't have freedom of just being stupid for no reason. Y'all hate Dabo because y'all hate God. That's what some of this is. Some of y'all attack Dabo because he loves God. And you're masking it as he's not a good coach. Some of you hate Dabo because none of y'all were even born when he was winning these national championships. And some of you hate Dabo because you just follow what your favorite broadcaster says. But the reality of it all is this. Y'all want to believe in a microwave society, but once you ever have the opportunity to be a head coach, to be a business owner, to be a CEO, you're going to learn really quick that nothing happens overnight. And you're going to learn really quick that everybody's got an opinion, but very few people do the work. This man has done the work. He has done the work so that you can have an opinion. Because if Dabo Swinney was like a lot of other coaches out there that have come in and out of places, he didn't win enough games for you to give a crap about him, and he's gone already. The reason why you have so much to say about Dabo is because Dabo's been so damn good. So isn't it funny how your argument is against a man who gave you a reason to have an argument? So yeah, I got thoughts. And yeah, I had some words for you this morning. But the reality is this. If you fire Dabo Swinney, you better fire every coach in America because there's nobody better than him right now. And that's the real.
Very, very good. Folks, when we talk about these coaches, I revere coaches the way Dan does. I understand where they're from and how they've got there. Now, there's two things I want to say about what Dan said. There's going to be a lot of coaches fired this year, and they're going to be from good universities. In my opinion, the Notre Dame coach will not last. Where would Dabo Feeney, with his religion, go? To Notre Dame if he could, no doubt about it. Also, keep in mind that the great lobster boat captain is 2-2 as North Carolina coach. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't have a 500 record by the end of the year, what do you think is going to happen?
They're going to want him to go.
Absolutely. So when we talk about, and Dan does it more eloquently than I do, when we talk about these people we talk about, they're people first, but they're coaches. They're great coaches, great X's and O's guys. You know, Sweeney, he doesn't call defense. He doesn't call offense. He puts people in places to make decisions.
Right.
Now, the thing I like about Frank Brown, coming from Kirby Smart's staff, Kirby does the same thing. He's got people doing good jobs. And he when he bitches someone, he'll throw his visor down. He'll turn around like this. Do your job. Stop him. Do your job. That's what he does. And Fran's taking that to Syracuse. I think Syracuse has a good future, but you got to look at the man, not the coach.
Yeah, and speaking of looking at what he's done, and like you said, he lets his coaches coach. What's come from his tree? Tony Elliott, Virginia, they haven't been a good team in a long time. It didn't work out under multiple coaches. And they didn't give a lot of coaches a ton of time. Tony Elliott, 3-7, 3-9. Last year, 5-7. This year, 3-1. Tony Elliott's working to turn the corner. Tony Elliott was an offensive coordinator. Where'd he come from? Clemson. Who'd he work under? Dabo Sweeney. Brent Venables was, like, year in and year out, the highest pay, one of the highest, if not the highest paid coach that's not a head coach in college football, FBS. Why? Because Dabo understood how important it was to keep him. Brent Venables went off to Oklahoma. What's Brent Venables doing right now? First season, 6-7, went to a bowl game. 10-3, went to a bowl game. 6-7, went to a bowl game. So he's been 6-6, gone to a bowl game and lost it. And then he was, 10-2, and then lost that bowl, then 10-3, and then went to the bowl game at 6-6. So Brent Venables, since leaving Clemson and going to Oklahoma, who is now in the SEC, what has he done? He has gone to a bowl game every single year. He's never had a losing record. And Oklahoma right now has taken down Michigan and taken down Auburn in the top 25. And what is Oklahoma right now? 4-0. And Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator of the who? Clemson Tigers under who? Dabo Sweeney. So just shut up. Because not only is he good, but so are his assistants. Brent Venables is a head coach. Tony Elliott's a head coach. Tony Elliott is taking a program that was going nowhere fast. And he's turning the corner. He's turning the corner with Virginia. And Brent Venables has one of the best teams in the country right now. Not because the media and the coaches ballooned them and ranked them like Illinois, but because they've actually put the work in. Oklahoma's a good team right now because Oklahoma has work to do it. Oklahoma is a good team right now because it wasn't on paper. They did it. They did it on the field. So you're going to hate on Dabo Sweeney when you got two of his former coordinators turning the corner. And what's one of the biggest issues with Dabo Sweeney? He doesn't go and find guys. He doesn't go and grab guys, right? Oh, this guy used to be a head coach. I'm going to bring that guy in. I'm going to bring this guy. I'm going to bring that. What did Penn State? Penn State had Tom Allen, who is the former head coach of Indiana. And then Clemson brings in Tom Allen, right? As your defensive coordinator from Penn State. Why are you bitching? You wanted him to bring somebody that wasn't from within, and he did. So what are you bitching about? But when he promotes from within, they yell at him. Why are you promoting from within? Why are you bringing up people in your program and promoting from within, giving opportunities from within? Isn't that what a good business leader is supposed to do? Isn't that what a CEO is supposed to do? You hire somebody that starts as a receptionist, and before you know it, they're the CEO. One of the biggest issues people have with Dabo is he actually promotes people from within. He gives opportunity for people that work hard that he sees every single day. And these guys that came up and came through and worked hard, Tony Elliott, Brent Venables, head coaches. And then he goes and gets Tom Allen, which is not promoting from within, and you're still bitching about it when he went and got him. I mean, people are literally arguing about what he does wrong while he's doing something different. You're telling him he promotes from within when he went and got Tom Allen. He didn't promote from within. He was at Penn State last year. What are we even talking about? I watched a video yesterday of somebody commenting on the fact that he promotes from within, and that's an issue. And so what's the opposite of promoting from within? Going and getting somebody. What did he just do? Get Tom Allen. So what are we talking about? Like, do people even realize that the conversations that they're having don't even make any sense? You're telling him to stop doing something that he stopped doing. So what are we talking about? Dabo Swinney is the best coach in America. So anything about him leaving, being fired, being let go, he's out of touch, he doesn't get it. You want every coach to be about the money? You want every coach to be about the portal? If you get what you want, and it's all about the money, and it's all about who I can steal, and it's all about using players to my advantage and not caring about their education or future, then what you're asking for is you're asking for college football to take your sons and your daughters in other sports. You're asking, if you want it to just be about the money and just be about poaching and just be about using kids, you're asking collegiate coaches to not care about the future of your children, to leave them no better than they found them, if not worse. Just remember what you're asking for. If you want him to spit on trying to help out high schools and prep schools and building up and having guys stay and having guys get their education, you are asking your children to be uneducated and no better than they were when they went into the school. If you lose the Dabo Sweeneys, you will lose the people that help raise your children. Remember that you asked for that. We're gonna take a step aside here on Wake Up Call. When we come back, we'll make our picks for college football week 5. Hashtag, I got your back, Dabo. We'll be back right after this.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. It could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing, and so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing, an amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time, the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and then those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life here inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open for sales and service Monday through Saturday. Go and hang out with them and let them know that DT sent you. Take a look to buy and lease. There are new and used vehicles, and you can get a sneak peek by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. PJ, I want to get your thoughts because the polls continue to come in, and some people are extending themselves out a little bit more. Who will be the National League MVP? 85.7% Shohei Ohtani, 14.3% Kyle Schwarber. And in the American League, Cal Raleigh or Aaron Judge is getting closer. Cal Raleigh 62.5 and Aaron Judge 37.5. You shook your head at the Shohei Ohtani. What's going on?
Well, I just think that Schwarber's having a Philadelphia kind of year that we'll go back and we'll go down in history. And we know Ohtani, what he can do, and the folks know what he can do. If he wins, it'll be his 4th MVP in 2 leagues. I mean, certainly he's the generational talent we always talk about. But I just think Schwarber has carried his team most of the year. I mean, he's got a lot of sluggers on his team. But when you start your slugger off first or bat him second,
Yeah.
That's what Trout is doing right now. Trout has been in a slump for 5 years. Where they got him? They got him batting leadoff. Bobby Witt for Kansas City bats either first or second. Aaron Judge is either first or second. So, you know, the men you got up there are the table setters, and they're the ones that can score a lot of runs too. So, you know, I'm a Schwarber fan. I am a Ohtani fan too, but I just think that Ohtani's not pitching anymore this year, except for the playoffs. And don't be surprised if he starts the playoffs. They'll give him the ball. So I don't know. Well, we'll see. It's fun to have the fans vote to see where they go.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see how these things continue to shake out. Our Billy Napier poll is also rocking and rolling. You can get to all these polls on X at CallDT. That's CALLDT on the former Twitter. Go to X right now. Find us at CallDT. Make sure that you follow us and vote in our polls. So you can do that right now. The poll that is up with Billy Napier. And like I said, I wanted to put this up to just get where people's heads are at, but I also, I don't like talking about somebody getting fired. I don't like the situation. So, because I feel bad because these are human beings and people forget that. So what do you think will happen with Billy Napier as the head coach of the Florida Gators? 0% of you believe that he'll be the coach in 2026. 42.9% of you think he'll be fired mid-season. And 57.1% think that he'll be fired at the end of the year. So an overwhelming 100% of you believe he'll be fired at some point, either mid-season or at the end of the year. PJ, I know you don't like when coaches are let go in the middle of the season. And right now, almost 43% of people think that's going to happen.
Well, I think that they have to be a little bit more reasonable than that. Besides, Florida's their class coming in is number 13, and they have a solid group. You know, the people that make these decisions have got to look at all around the big piece of work, not just Billy calling plays and coaching the team. It's recruiting. It's a whole bunch of things. So I want Florida to do the smart thing. I want them to analyze and then come up with a decision at the end of the year, not during the year. That should not be happening to anyone. And Mike Gundy's going to have a job. I told you that, so I wouldn't worry about him either. Gundy's a character, man. He reminds me so much of Mike Leach. Mike Leach is another guy that got fired. I don't know, whatever. Let's do our picks.
And by the way, with his 56th home run, Kyle Schwarber, who is trending on X right now, and make sure you're with us at CallDT. He is one of the top trends on X, the former Twitter at the moment. He has 2 home runs behind Ryan Howard for the single season Phillies record after hitting number 56. Schwarbs, give him some love. Listen, again, Shohei Ohtani's already been an MVP in both leagues. Aaron Judge has been an MVP. They're going to be up for it, like I said, if they do what they normally do. If they do like an average of what they normally do, like somewhere, not the greatest, but they're just being themselves, Aaron Judge and Shohei are always going to be in the conversation. But this year, specifically, is Kyle Schwarber going to have this year every year? Is Cal Raleigh going to have this year every year? If Schwarber passes Ryan Howard for the most home runs in a single season by a Philly, and we already have Cal Raleigh with the most home runs ever by a catcher in Major League Baseball history in a single season, that's pretty clear. You got a guy who's passing a World Series guy in Ryan Howard, and you got a guy who's passed every catcher in history. So I think it's time to give them some love, and I don't think Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani are going to be mad for you doing it. Let's take a look at the games, PJ. We're going to bring up the big board, and PJ and I are going to make our picks.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
I have another question.
Yeah.
This is a fun question.
Yes.
Who was the last major league player to hit more than 50 home runs as a switch hitter?
Dabo Sweeney.
Brendan will probably have the answer to that.
The last one to hit over 50 home runs as a switch hitter?
As a switch hitter.
Oh, boy.
This is way before your time, son.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I know where my head's going. Can you
way
give me
before your time.
Can you give me the initials? Because there's someone in my head, and I want to see if I'm right. Can you give me the initials?
MM.
MM?
MM.
Dang it, mine was TM. So, MM, the last switch hitter to do this. It's not him. Oh boy.
Someone will call it the answer to.
I gotta think about that. All right. Let's go into college football. Let's go into our picks. I don't know. I gotta think about that one. College football, week 5 picks. PJ and I will be giving them to you right on the big board. And for those of you that are listening on internet streaming radio on Podbean, we'll be bringing you through it. So even though you can't see it, my job as a broadcaster is to paint a picture so that you can. So here we go. PJ, first game that we're going to do, I'm bringing up a guy who worked for Dabo Swinney, Tony Elliott, once again. Virginia will be hosting in Charlottesville, Virginia, in Scott Stadium at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ES Motherfreaking PN. They will be hosting the Florida State Seminoles. Remember last year when Florida State was one of the top 10 teams in the country, and then they lost to Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland, and people were like, wow, they suck. And then this year they weren't ranked at all because they got punished for last year, because for some reason every year's rankings has to do with other years, like this year's for 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 80 years ago. And if we're going to go based on the past, then Syracuse should be ranked every year for all the great guys they had come through. Well, Florida State earned their ranking this year. They're in the top 10, unlike Illinois, who got there just because they're in the Big Ten. Florida State is 8. And Florida State's put in some work. And we told you, Mike Norvell ain't no slouch, and he wasn't going anywhere. And I said, hell hath no fury like a Mike Norvell scorned. So he's going into Virginia. Does he win, or is this Tony Elliott's upset game?
You know, this is a good game. We're going to find out two things here in this game. Florida State's had a couple of cupcakes.
Yep.
And we're going to find out how good Florida State really is. But we're also going to find out how good Virginia is.
True.
Virginia's defense has to show up. If they don't, it's over. I like Florida State in this.
I am also going with Florida State.
Jesus, don't do that. Oh, jeez.
It's the one thing that PJ can't deal with. So
I hate it.
I'm going PJ.
Even when Joey does it with the Kansas City Chiefs, I said,
That's
get
right.
out of here with that stuff.
I got to ask you this, PJ. What do you like less, Big Brother or the Tomahawk Chalk?
Both.
So I'm going with, I love Big Brother. I'm going with Florida State as well in this game. Florida State getting the win. And as PJ said, this is a game that can help us really see who Florida State is even more so this year. I want to go to TCU, who's ranked in the top 25. They are number 24 now. They're going to Arizona State. Arizona State has had some good moments. Last year they had Cam Scatterbo, and I drafted Cam Scatterbo in fantasy football. Why? Because based on what I was reading, looking at, and watching him play, I thought to myself, the only reason why we didn't talk about Scatterbo is because so many were talking about Ashton Genty in college last year. But Scatterbo could very well become the starting running back with the Giants. And guess what he's done in the first 3 weeks? He's pretty much become the starting running back for the Giants. So, PJ, I want to get your thoughts. Arizona State doesn't have him anymore. However, they are 3-1. And they defeated Baylor on the road 37-24 here. Here's the weird thing. That was a Big 12 game because Arizona State of Arizona and Baylor of Texas are both in the Big 12. The Big 12 is probably the conference that I understand the least of because when I try to figure out the geography, they play all over the planet. So what are your thoughts, P? I actually think they're going to have the first team on the moon, the Big 12. So what do you have, PJ? TCU at Arizona State.
Well, TCU has proved me wrong a couple of times this year, but I'm not going to do it this time. I'm going to take TCU.
Yeah, I mean, TCU proved me wrong last week, which was, I mean, it was hard for me to pick between Rhett Lashley and Sonny Dykes' leadership, but I'm going to go with TCU this week as well. I know they're on the road, and this is a game where Arizona is playing 2 Texas teams back-to-back inside of the Big 12, but I think TCU can get it done on the road. The next game that I got up, PJ, could be a triple game, but ranked in the top 16 in the nation, and I told people going into the season that I thought that this was a good team. I was not one of those people going, oh, they're not ranked, so they're not good, because that's the thing. People look at things and they go, well, this team's not ranked. Dan, why are you defending them? They're not ranked. Because some teams that aren't ranked should be, and some teams that are ranked shouldn't be. You can't just look at a number next to a team and go, well, that's what they're worth, because that's what everybody tells me. Again, do your research. If you go based on just what you're being told, how do you know it's true? Georgia Tech's a good team. And I believe that apparently before the nation did. Georgia Tech at Wake Forest. It could be a Triplum game. It's at noon on ESPN. What do you got, PJ?
Well, I don't think this is a triple game. I think Georgia Tech's got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and they're for real, and I like them a lot.
Yeah, I got to go with them as well, and Haynes King. Haynes King at quarterback, Jamal Haynes at running back. Dangerous team. People are like, oh, Syracuse got a tough road test, but then they don't put Georgia Tech within that schedule. Hey, they got to go to Georgia Tech, folks. It ain't going to be easy. And I got Georgia
It ain't
Tech.
going to be easy, no.
I got Georgia Tech winning this game. They were pissed off that they didn't beat Syracuse last year. Here we go, PJ. Notre Dame, who's ranked 22 in the nation with a record of 1-2, which is the same record you wanted to fire Dabo for having, but no one's talking about Marcus Freeman. And rightly so, because you shouldn't be talking about either one of them. They're both good coaches. Notre Dame at Arkansas, noon Eastern time on ABC. Does Arkansas, after losing by 1 point to Memphis on the road, do they smack Notre Dame, or does Notre Dame get a win over an SEC opponent?
Oh, this is a tough one. This is my heart's with Arkansas, but I think Notre Dame probably has a better team. I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
I see Notre Dame kicking a field goal. I'm going with Notre Dame in this one here. I'm also going to pick Notre Dame because I critique the rankings, which Notre Dame is not, those student athletes are not responsible for. But people, I will tell you a million times over, even though some people listen and some don't, when I critique the rankings, I've never told you Notre Dame is a bad team. I just said some teams should be ranked above them, and I've given you factual evidence. But never once have I said I don't respect them, think they're good, or think that they have NFL talent. And I highly tout Kyron Williams every chance I get in the NFL because he's the best running back to come out of Notre Dame in a very long time. And I love talking with Marcus Freeman, and one of my friends of many years was their quarterback, Riley Leonard. So do your research when you think I just don't like Notre Dame. No, I don't like that Notre Dame had a record of 0-2 and was ranked. Next one we got up here is going to bring us to, where do I want to go? UCF at Kansas State, I guess, is the next one. Okay, there's a lot of games at noon this week. I can put on 4 different games at the same time, but I need my TV to do like 8 this week. So we have UCF at Kansas State. UCF is unranked after beating Bill Bellies, and Kansas State is unranked, which is surprising because normally when Kansas State loses, they stay ranked. So what do you have, PJ? UCF at Kansas State.
I like UCF.
I'm going with UCF in this game too. As soon as I saw that they hired Scott Frost back, I thought to myself, the nation is not ready because they disrespected him back then and didn't give him his flowers, and now they're going to have to, one more time, have to explain why they're not giving somebody flowers that earn the right to have a garden. I like UCF in this matchup, and I love that Scott Frost is back in town. Next one that we have up here, LS Motherfreaking U and Brian Kelly, who was critiqued for winning but not doing it well enough. And then Ole Miss, which is the lane train. What do you got, PJ?
Well, Ole Miss's quarterback is still hurt. He's not going to be playing. Probably one of the best left-handed quarterbacks I've seen throw the ball. Is on a dime. But because of that, I think LSU's defense wins the game.
Yeah, I mean, we look at this and seeing what's going on here right now, and this is tough for me. This is a tough pick for me. And, man, I'm going to say that, I mean, yeah, you can look at Ole Miss and you can say their quarterback is hurt, and it's unfortunate, and it's really sad that this has to happen. So Ole Miss to start quarterback Chambliss versus LSU. So this is going to be his opportunity to show himself. I'm going to pick LSU, but I'm not going to say that Ole Miss is out of it. Sometimes a team loses their starting quarterback and they think the season, and fans think the season's over, but I don't know if that's going to be the case for Ole Miss. And I hope that if they keep winning, they don't get punished like other people have Florida State for not having their quarterback. So I'm going to go with LSU on the road. Next one is Auburn at Texas A&M. PJ, does Texas A&M keep winning? They're ranked 9th in the country with Mike Elko, who is the coach at Duke, who before being the coach at Duke was the defensive coordinator at Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher. And after getting a cup of coffee for 2 seasons and doing well with Duke, he went back to Texas A&M to take the job after they let Jimbo Fisher go for over $70 million. Because Mike Elko said, hey, I got to get back there because if I get fired, my family's going to live for the next 10 generations. So what do you got, PJ? Is Texas A&M for real or does Auburn find a way?
No, Texas A&M is for real, Daniel. Elko made a good decision. When he saw the athletes he can get over there, big difference in athletes.
Yeah, Texas A&M, to me, I honestly think they're underrated because you hear people talk about these other schools, and I know they're ranked in the top 10, but I'd like people to maybe discuss Texas A&M a little bit more. I'm excited to see what they do. 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN, Auburn at Texas A&M. I'm going with TAMU, and the lowest price ticket that they have going to that game is over $100 at $111 as it currently stands. Let's go to Tennessee at Mississippi State. This game will be on the SEC network. Tickets, lowest price, same as the one I just mentioned, $111 to go to Mississippi State. What do you got for this one, PJ? Tennessee.
I like Tennessee.
You like Tennessee? All right. Any thoughts on Tennessee? Do you think they're the real deal this year?
No, they're not. But they'll be competitive in a tough SEC. They'll go to a good bowl game. They'll probably be 12-2 or something like that, But they're a good team. But Mississippi State is, again, there's a difference in the athletes. That's all. Tennessee just has the athletes.
Yeah, I think Tennessee. I mean, listen, watching Joey Aguilar live in the building, I thought to myself, Tennessee got themselves a good one. So, I'm going to go with Tennessee in this. I think Tennessee can do some good things this year. Maybe they'll try and find their way back to the college football playoff as an at-large bid. We shall see. But I'm excited for Tennessee this year. I think they got some good things going. Oregon at Penn State. Finally, Penn State plays something more than the sisterhood of the traveling pants. So congratulations. Penn State played 3 unranked teams, then they took a break. Because after being on vacation for 3 weeks, they went on vacation. So Penn State now has an opportunity to play a team that actually would have to do with rankings. Because I'm not disrespecting anybody that Penn State played. I'm just stating an obvious fact. They don't challenge themselves out of conference. And outside of a few games in conference like this one, they don't challenge themselves in conference either. Penn State, every single year, surely by looking at their schedule, should have 9 or 10 wins. But the question is, do they get this one in the whiteout? 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on NBC. Take that, Notre Dame. Penn State took your spot. They will be at home in Beaver Stadium. Do they get a victory? Beaver versus Duck, I guess. Well, it's Nittany Lion versus Duck, but you know what I mean, because it's Beaver Stadium. So, PJ, does Penn State get their first actual quality win of the season, or does the Ducks do it?
No. Penn State needed that week off. I don't care if they got 2 weeks off. They're not going to beat Oregon.
Yeah, I'm going with Oregon in this game, too, because to me, I mean, you look at what Oregon has done up to this point against different competition. Oregon may be part of the reason why Mike Gundy got fired from Oklahoma State when they beat them like Clemson beats the Citadel. When you look at the score that they had, Oregon taking it to Oklahoma State, and that is Big Ten versus Big 12 play in the second week of the season, beating them by 66 points. The only team that really knows what it feels like to lose by around that many points, also a team that's connected to the Big Ten, that would be Illinois. So Illinois lost by 50+, and Oklahoma State lost to Oregon 69-3. And looking at what Oregon has done, listen, I have all the respect in the world for the Oregon Ducks because they have had 3 different quarterbacks in the last 3 years, and they've stayed relevant. That is not an easy thing to do, to roll the dice and roll the dice and roll the dice and be right 3 times. Bo Nix to Dylan Gabriel, both guys drafted, to now being with Dante Moore with the Oregon Ducks. So I got Oregon on the road getting the win, even though I know it is a very, very tough place to play. I give all the respect in the world to Penn State. Again, never said their coach, their players, or their staff is bad, or their fans are bad, or their experience is bad. They're just ranked too high. That's all I said. Remember that. Because what I said about Penn State when I left Penn State was if football is a Southern thing, then Penn State has a Southern zip code. That is what I said to you when I left that stadium, because I had one of the greatest experiences of my life, and that's because the Penn State fans are absolutely incredible when it comes to atmosphere. Next game that we have going up here that I have to give to PJ and I before we get to our final game, I'm going to go, I'm going to go here. So, obviously, I'm going to go here, but I was trying to figure out which one I was going to first. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on A, B, motherfreaking C. This game is in Athens, Georgia at Sanford Stadium. And the lowest price ticket to go to this game, $380.
Oh, my goodness.
Alabama at Georgia. What do you got, PJ?
Boy, I tell you, the Alabama, and after this game, the Alabama people are going to be pissed. Kalen DeBoer is going to be 2-2, and you don't think they're going to fire a coach in midseason for being 2-2 at Alabama? They probably were thinking about it. I like Georgia.
I'll tell you this right now. For everything that Dabo's fielding right now, Kalen DeBoer did not make the college football playoff, didn't even make the first round, and I don't think they're going to win this game. Alabama fans, I had an Alabama fan tell me that if they lose the national championship, it's a bad year. Well, they're not even playing close for one. So if you think Billy Napier's on the hot seat, Kalen DeBoer was on the hot seat the moment that he took the job because he's not Nick Saban. And that is the trouble with coming into a seat that was left by one of the greatest to ever touch any seat in any sport. And I think it's unfair, but Alabama, if Florida ain't going to give you time, Alabama's going to give you half that time. So I'm going with Georgia in this game to get the victory. I think Kirby Smart is the second best coach in the nation, and I think Kirby Smart's going to get this victory. Next one that we get, and I don't think Georgia's getting enough credit for the work that they're doing this year. Last game we're going to do, PJ, is going to take us, well, let me make sure here. Let me just take a little thing. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody here in the final notes that I have. So, PJ, I have some good news for you this week. Florida can't lose because they're off.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So Florida will not take a loss this week because they will be taking a break this week. So the last game that I have for you is at noon Eastern Time. I'll be at this game. It's on the ACC Network, and the tickets are as low as $71, so that's a step up from other games in the Dome. This game is going to feature the Syracuse Orange hosting the Duke Blue Devils, and I heard people talking about it yesterday saying, Duke's a basketball school. Duke's not that good. People are still spreading the narrative that Duke is not a good football team because it's a copy and paste from 5 years ago, 10 years ago. People need to get with the times and do their research. Duke is a good football team. They played a hell of an in-state game against NC State last week. I don't know anybody that's going to sit here that has knowledge of football that's going to tell you that Duke isn't good at it. So, they're coming into the Dome with Manny Diaz, who I love talking with, and, of course, Mr. Fran Brown, who I also love talking with. The game's at noon Eastern Time. At approximately 6 p.m. to follow the game, Wake Up Call Game Day will be on site on location at Myers Creek at the Syracuse Inner Harbor, which is less than 15 minutes from the Dome, so I look forward to seeing you for dinner after the game on 720 Van Rensselaer Street in Syracuse. So here's a question, PJ. Am I talking to a bunch of fans that are drinking because they're happy? Or am I talking to a bunch of fans that are drinking their sorrows away? Who wins, Duke or Syracuse?
Well, I think Syracuse has proved something this year. I think that Coach Brown has proved that he can win at the highest levels. And I think that he's probably going to win this game. Duke, again, it's the athlete difference is I don't want to get me wrong here, but Duke is a fine school. They have a hell of a basketball program. They have a good football program. But the type of athlete that goes to the fast schools is different. And Syracuse has those now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Darian Mensah is one of the best quarterbacks by the numbers in the nation. Darian Mensah was at Tulane last year. Darian Mensah is now a multi-million-dollar quarterback that was bought into Duke this year. And if you want to know how real this free agency frenzy is, I covered the ACC kickoff and the American kickoff in Charlotte, and one was a building behind the other. And I was at the ACC talking to Duke about Darian Mensah. And then I left the ACC kickoff to walk across the road pretty much to the American kickoff to talk to Tulane, who no longer has Darian Mensah. And then they played each other, and Tulane beat their former quarterback, which is a massive feather in Tulane's cap that they're probably not getting any credit for because they're in the American. If Tulane was in the Big Ten, they'd be number 9 right now in the country. But Darian Mensah, he's really, really good, PJ. And going into last week, there was only 3 quarterbacks in the nation that had thrown for at least 1,000 yards through 3 weeks. The one that led the entire country, Steve Angeli from Syracuse. The guy behind him, Baylor quarterback Sawyer Robertson. The guy behind him, Duke quarterback Darian Mensah. Syracuse is in for a difficult game. I do not believe that if they get up early, that Duke will go away. I believe this game will be difficult. I believe that this game will go back and forth. I believe that Syracuse fans will be going, "Whoa!" and we'll be going, "Oh!" at the same game. So this one is not as easy as y'all think it's going to be. But I do believe that Syracuse, being at home, gets the victory. I'm going with the Syracuse Orange, who are still unranked, even though they beat Clemson in Death Valley, which they've never done, and many teams have never done. So I'm going.
Angeli playing?
Angeli is out for the rest of the year.
He's not playing. Okay.
No, he's out for the rest of the year.
That makes a big difference.
And Ricky Collins is in, but Ricky Collins, hey, talented guy, working hard. They got a really strong rushing attack, but I'm just letting y'all know this right now. This is going to be a very, very difficult game for Syracuse. I do believe they can pull it out, but I do not want anybody to walk in this game saying Duke is a basketball school. Because you might walk in saying it, and you might walk out saying, whew, that was a game where I lost a couple pounds. So I'm going with Syracuse. I'm going with Ricky. But I don't think it's going to be easy. It's going to be a good game. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When PJ and I roll back around, we're going to be bringing you the NFL as we take a look at Week 3 and what happened, and we get set for Week 4. Papa Joe and I will be letting you know what happened in Week 3, how well did we do or not do, and what does Week 4 look like in the NFL, as there are 6 teams that are 3-0 and 6 teams that are 0-3. And some of those 0-3 teams are playing each other. So someone's got to get a win, right? Well, you can still tie in football. We'll take a step aside. We'll be back right after this.
Tired.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot, Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Call Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place, and perfect to be on your screen next to the Wildcat, because where are we going to be tonight? GG Cards and Breaks is taking trade night on the road, as we do throughout the year, at the Wildcat Sports Pub, where I have the opportunity to link two of my fantastic partners together, as we will have trade night to buy, sell, and trade our cards, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, as well as Magic the Gathering, hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, whatever you got. Come out to the Wildcat tonight. Great food, great people, and a great opportunity to be a part of the trading card community that continues to grow. We have had extremely amazing atmosphere moments at trade night, and we are in the giant party room. Y'all have packed that room. So many people have shown up, all different ages, little kids all the way to people that are 60, 70 years old. I cannot thank y'all enough for coming out. So make sure you make your way to GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night tonight at the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. I'll be on stage. I'll have my cards so you can buy, sell, and trade with me. Let's have some fun. And I can't wait to see you. And, of course, you can go to the store, GG Cards and Breaks, today and Tuesday through Saturday weekly from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5. I want to give many thanks to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt. Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge and Erie has been an absolutely wonderful place for me to have the opportunity to just see the expansion of Chick-fil-A in Central and Upstate New York. The work that they do is incredible. They are led by the wonderful Megan Sorber. Megan Sorber knows what it's like to go to school and work at Chick-fil-A, and now she's employing people that are going to school in the Central and Upstate New York community that are working at Chick-fil-A. And what better person to bring them through what they're currently experiencing than somebody who experienced the same thing. So big time shout out to Megan Sorber, to her team, and to everybody at Chick-fil-A DeWitt. It's so much more than a chicken sandwich, and you can experience them by going to the corner of Bridge and Erie. You won't be able to miss it. It is a giant brick building with a double drive-through. We'll see you at Chick-fil-A DeWitt today. So, with that being said, PJ and I are going to jump right into how things shook out in the NFL in Week 3, and then we'll make our picks for Week 4. So the Week 3 board is up in the picks that we made, and here we go. So, in Week 3, for Thursday Night Football, PJ and I had picked Buffalo over Miami, and Buffalo got that victory. Green Bay shut out the Browns until the last quarter, where they were shut out by the Browns, ironically, 13-0. Do you know who had the game-winning field goal? Andre Schmidt. Do you know where he played? Syracuse. Do you know whose show he's been on a bunch of times? Right here on Wake Up Call. I consider him a friend. Love talking to Andre Schmidt. So excited for him. and it is the longest walk-off field goal in Cleveland Browns history, 55 yards. But you know what Schmidt did? He said that Papa Joe's pick and my pick were a whole bunch of Schmidt last week. So
That's
we
right.
got that wrong.
We lost it.
We definitely lost it. Green Bay, as I've said in past years, is an enigma. I don't know if they're good or if they're not good because they come out and they'll do good things against the Detroit Lions and then they'll lose to the Cleveland Browns. Indianapolis defeated Tennessee. Indianapolis, one of the most surprising 3-0 teams, and on the other side, Tennessee is 0-3. So PJ and I got that right. Lake Minnetonka blew out Cincinnati at home. Minnesota, the battle of the backup quarterbacks. Carson Wentz spanked Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals. They declawed those Bengals and sent them home, licking their wounds as Minnesota moves on with the victory. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers went into New England. They went into lobster roll country and Dunkin' Donuts, and they got that victory with Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, looking so good. And I'm telling you, folks, I told you going into the season, he's going to have himself a good year that's going to make you say, man, I thought he was old. I thought he was washed up. I thought he was done. Aaron Rodgers ain't done till he says he's done, and he ain't done. So Philadelphia goes and faces off against the Rams. They win that game at home 33-26. Thought it would be a good game, and it was. We got that one right. So PJ and I only got Green Bay wrong so far. And going to the next one, comeback team of the year so far, Tampa Bay. They beat the Jets at home 29-27. Shout out to them. They've been without Chris Godwin, and now they're without Mike Evans. Can Emeka Ibuka continue to step up as a rookie and do good things? And we know the rushing attack with Bucky Irving's been awesome, so hopefully Tampa can rock and roll as they get their guys healthy. And then we had the Raiders. Now, some people said it doesn't matter who Washington plays at quarterback. Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota, it don't matter because the Vegas is going to win no matter what. Well, PJ and I made a mistake. You know, we went with Vegas. We went with the house, and the house lost because the Washington team won the game 41-24. Former number 2 overall pick Marcus Mariota doing a fantastic job with Washington getting that victory. PJ picked Carolina to beat Atlanta at home. And who thought that Carolina was going to shut Atlanta out and win 30-0 against an offense that I think is more highly powered with Michael Penix Jr., that he's going to get the ball to the guys we were hoping, like Kyle Pitts Sr. Go
Gators.
So Carolina wins the game, and I just looked foolish picking Atlanta because Atlanta had a terrible day. Jacksonville, it was all about that defense, and they win the game over Houston, who is 0-3 now. The Jacksonville Jaguars 2-1, and getting the best of Houston can mean some big things for Jacksonville, a team that was counted out before they got started. Well, let's see where Jacksonville goes. Love those players on the field. Wish that some of those players would come through the system, be in the NFL, and then go into the front office, because Jacksonville's front office sucks. Let's go to the next part here. The Chargers take down the Denver Broncos 23-20 in a very close game. We picked the Chargers. We got that right. Jim Harbaugh keeps making things happen. Man, that dude is a good coach. If you don't like him, listen, they're 3-0. And the Chargers did something that nobody else in America has done so far. They're not just 3-0. They're 3-0 against their own division. You play your division 6 times. There's 3 other teams. You play them twice. Six times. For those of you that think that math is not math and that you can make up numbers. 3 times 2 will always be 6. And the Chargers have not only won 3 games, they've won 3 games against their divisional foes. They've beaten everyone in their division once. So that means at worst, they're going to be 1-1. They're not going to have a losing record to anyone in their division. So come playoff time, the first 3 weeks shows a lot about this Chargers team. Don't count them out. They did a lot in very short order. So we picked the Chargers. We were right. Let's go to Seattle. Seattle, man, New Orleans is terrible. Seattle won the game 44-13. I told you New Orleans had the biggest open quarterback competition, and they may have to go find a quarterback. I got nothing against Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck. I'm just saying, maybe that's where Kyle McCord needs to go, so he's not a third stringer in Philadelphia. But if you want to have an opportunity to play quarterback, the New Orleans Saints, they might be going to the supermarket like the Rams did with Kurt Warner. So let's take a look at Chicago and Dallas. Man, another enigma, the Dallas Cowboys. They go into Chicago and they lose 31-14. You know who's good no matter who they play? Roma Dunze. And that's why I'm happy to have him on my fantasy team. Guy keeps going to work. Caleb, keep throwing that man the ball. Next one we have is San Francisco. The Niners are 3-0. And the Niners have done most of this without their starting quarterback. Who is the guy that starts for them? Mac Jones. Where was he right before? Jacksonville. Who let him go? Jacksonville. Why did they let him go? Because they let all the good ones go. So Mac Jones winning on the West Coast. And guess who Mac Jones is playing this week? Jacksonville. So that's going to be interesting here to see that one. The Kansas City Chiefs got their first win of the season because they played a terrible team in the New York Giants, and they got the win. And then PJ and I went with Baltimore, and Detroit won this game 38-30. We thought it would be a good game. 68 points were scored. Detroit wins on the road. That is a massive, massive, massive victory for them. So taking a look at this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. PJ went 12-4. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right? Yep. So I went 11-5. So in the NFL, PJ and I have been having some awesome weeks. We'll take a look at where we've stood here in the NFL. PJ in week 1 went 11-5. I went 10-6. In week 2, we both went 11-5. And in week 3, PJ is 12-4. And I am 11-5. So nothing too shabby about this. Let's go into picking our games for week 4 inside of the NFL, as PJ and I have spent some extended time with you here. So PJ going 12-4. I want to make a note of this in our studio. And I went 11-5. So the Thursday night game that we're going to have, Papa Joe, here on Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, we will be going to Thursday night's matchup, and that's going to be Seattle at Arizona. I feel like PJ is going to call this a terrible game. What do you got, PJ?
It is a terrible game, but I like Seattle.
Yeah, PJ's going with the Seattle Seahawks. Arizona's all over the place. Seattle hasn't had a good season to start things off. And Arizona, they got the talent, man. I mean, Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison, there should be 1 to 2 touchdowns a game between the two of those guys. I'm going with Seattle, but I really, 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 really either want them to get Marvin Harrison the ball or trade Marvin Harrison so that he can go somewhere where he gets the ball. And that's why I didn't want him to go to Arizona, because I didn't feel like Kyler Murray took the receivers they had and the output was good in Arizona. And now I feel that way about what's going on here. So frustrating.
You can't win with Kyler Murray, dude.
And it's frustrating.
You can't win with him.
It's, but they're going to have to make a decision at some point. And again, I want Kyler Murray to succeed. I want Marvin to succeed.
Open it up.
I just saw it coming. I saw it coming that him going to Arizona might make him not look like the guy that people think he is, and that was going to be sad. There's going to be a morning game this Sunday. It's going to be at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It's on the NFL Network and NFL Plus. It'll be at Croke Park in Dublin, Ireland. So, PJ, which team's going to win and which team's going to croak? Minnesota at Pittsburgh. What do you got?
Oh, I like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Minnesota is going overseas and nuts with J.J. McCarthy being their starting quarterback, which is really sad. The guy that keeps getting it done, Aaron Rodgers, you counted him out and you thought he was done. And I told y'all I thought this was going to be Aaron Rodgers showing. I was like, I know New York Jets fans get pissed off, but I'm like, I feel like they're going to watch him and be really pissed. Like, we had you for 2 years and you go and do this with somebody else. Well, he did it in week 1 against them, and I think he's going to do it again. I think he's going to keep doing it. Aaron Rodgers, he's a tough cookie. Washington and Atlanta. Washington, it doesn't matter if they got their backup or their starter. They put up 41 on the Raiders, and Atlanta put up 0 on one of the worst teams in football in recent history. Washington and Atlanta, PJ, what do you got?
Kirk Cousins is going to bring him through.
You think it's going to be Atlanta?
Kirk Cousins is going to win it through.
All right, PJ's going with Hotlanta, and this game is being played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is where I was for the Aflac kickoff, the national championship, and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. As PJ goes for Atlanta, I am not going for Atlanta in this game. I'm going with the Washington Commanders to get the victory here. because I want to believe that Marcus Mariota can do it in multiple weeks if Jaden doesn't go. He is questionable, so watch that. New Orleans at Buffalo, PJ, 0-3 versus 3-0. What do you got?
What a terrible game this is going to be. It's Buffalo. I mean, it's just as many points as they want to score, I guess.
I think Buffalo might get to rest their starters at halftime or in the third quarter.
I agree.
I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to go 4-0. Man, what a nice schedule that they have here after having some difficult games, to have New Orleans and not even have New Orleans on the road, but to have New Orleans come to Buffalo. So I'm going with the Buffalo Bills as well. Next game, Cleveland at Detroit. Cleveland found a way to beat Green Bay. Detroit found a way to lose to Green Bay. So does Detroit lose to Cleveland at home?
No, Detroit wins easy.
Again, Cleveland's one of those teams that you just think isn't going to win much, and they found a way. But Detroit's a very, very dangerous team. And they beat the old Cleveland Browns in Baltimore this past week. And now I think they're going to beat the Cleveland Browns that came back in 1999. I'm going with Detroit as well to get this victory. So Detroit Lions moving forward, although I am nervous about this game because Cleveland is just strange. Here's a replay of how Bill Belichick and Tom Brady got their dynasty started. Carolina at New England. What do you got, PJ?
New England.
Yeah, I'm going with New England. I think Drake May is going to have himself a nice sophomore season. So I feel good about Drake May, and I feel good about them in this game. I would love to see Bryce Young continue to elevate his game with Carolina, but I am going with Drake May. And I'm really happy that Mike Vrabel, I'm happy that New England made the decision I told them to make 2 years ago by making it here. So going with New England in this one. Los Angeles at the New York Giants. The Giants are terrible, and the Chargers are undefeated. What do you got, PJ?
LA.
I'm going with the Chargers at MetLife Stadium as well. People need to stop going to MetLife Stadium to see the Giants and the Jets. They need to start going to MetLife Stadium to see the other team. And I know some LA people show up because Syracuse and USC played there, and there was a lot of people that came that were coming in support of Southern California. I'm going with the Chargers as well. Philadelphia at Tampa. They played each other in the postseason, and they have gone back and forth in some pretty good games, PJ. What do you got?
You know, Tampa's really going to be hampered without the two big wide receivers. And as great as Baker Mayfield is playing, I mean, the guy has won 3 games in the last 2 minutes. I mean, he's phenomenal. I don't know where he gets the energy for the last couple of minutes of a game, but he's remarkable. But, you know, he's going to be hampered because of losing his big receivers. So it is what it is, bro. It's got to be Philly.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I know that Baker's found a way to do it, and I'm not going to necessarily count him out of making it interesting, but I got to pick Philadelphia on the road to get the victory here. I'm going with Philly in this matchup. Next one up, Tennessee at Houston, 0-3 versus 0-3 in the AFC South. Outside of a tie, someone's going to get a win in this game, PJ, and you can get tickets to this game for $45. What do you got?
Oh, my God, that's awful. Houston's quarterback just has not played well this year. And coming off the season where he was the rookie of the year, I guess we call it, most valuable player for a rookie, Stroud has got to play a lot better. And I think he does here.
So, PJ, going with C.J. Stroud in the Houston Texans. I got to go with the Texans, too. I mean, Tennessee, I told you I would not have chosen Cam Ward to be the face of my franchise because I just don't think that long-term he is going to be the guy. And not that he can't do some good things or that his connecting with guys like Io Manor isn't good. I just don't think that he's the long-term answer, and they haven't had a long-term answer. They drafted Malik Willis. That didn't work. They drafted Will Levis, which I was against. That didn't work. They drafted Cam Ward, which I wouldn't have done, and they're 0-3 right now. So I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud at home. This game might be ugly, though. Indianapolis at the Los Angeles Bam Rammies. The Rams are not a bad team. They're not perfect, but the Colts are perfect. They're 3-0. What do you got?
I like Los Angeles.
You know, and PJ, tickets as low as $46 in L.A. I don't think you can get a bottle of water in L.A. for $46.
No, you're right.
So PJ going with the Rams in this game at home. And This is really tough for me. I'm going to go with the Colts. I'm going to ride the wave. I'm going with
my
the Colts
goodness.
to be 4-0, even though I love Matty Stafford. Next game, we have Jacksonville at San Francisco. Jacksonville is actually playing a mid-afternoon game because they'll be on the West Coast. So this game's at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time. The game will be on Fox, and these tickets are $69. What do you got, PJ?
Oh boy, our hearts was at Jacksonville, but they're playing a really good team. And you see the game McCaffrey had last week. I mean,
Yeah.
he's amazing. He hasn't played in a while. He comes out, catches balls, runs over people. I think San Francisco squeezes this game through. I want to say Jacks, but I can't see them winning this game.
Yeah, I got to go with San Francisco. San Francisco has done some really good things. They're 3-0. They've done it without their starting quarterback. They have done it with Deebo Samuel now being a Washington Commander. There's a lot to be said about how San Francisco has just gutted it out, and you got to give respect to that defense, and I think they're going to do enough to get this win. Baltimore at Kansas City should be a high-octane game, right? Baltimore's had some trips already, and so has Kansas City. So believe it or not, PJ, Baltimore comes into this game with a record of 1-2, and Kansas City also 1-2. What do you got?
Really, it should just dictate that Kansas City wins this game at home. But Lamar Jackson was really pissed off last week. He had a lot of problems, drop passes, fumbles, stuff like that. Derrick Henry losing the ball. His will sometimes can win a game. I think it does here.
This game is going to leave Taylor Swift wanting Baltimore than what she's going to see. I'm going with Baltimore in this matchup to get the victory and to go on forward with the win. Baltimore is going to remind you this week that they are a contender and they should not be forgotten. And then Kansas City will go to 1-3. Are people going to say fire Andy Reid? Probably not. So let's just relax, folks, and let's realize something. I told you that Caleb Williams was going to have a better sophomore season. When others have a sophomore slump, I thought he was going to actually play better, and he has. Caleb Williams in Chicago will go to the Raiders. And these games are $233 because nothing in Vegas is cheap. PJ, Chicago at Las Vegas. What do you got?
Well, I suppose Williams is improving a lot. I still don't think he's a long-term solution either. But I think they can win this game.
Yeah, I got Chi-Town in this one. I don't think that I do not see Las Vegas winning a ton of games this year, and I don't even know if they're going to keep their starting quarterback. We might see Aiden O'Connell in just a little bit here, so I'm going to go with Chi-Town to get the victory here on the road in Vegas. We got a Monday night doubleheader, but before we go there, we got Green Bay at Dallas. Two teams that make no sense. Sometimes they look really good, other times they don't look good at all. Who wins this game, PJ? Green Bay at Dallas.
Dallas has to show up one of these weeks, Daniel. They have to show up. But they're playing a tough team.
Yeah.
Jordan Love has proved me wrong last year. I didn't think he would matriculate to be the kind of player that would learn from Aaron Rodgers, but he certainly has. But I don't think he wins this game. I think Dallas wins this game.
Well, Dallas is going to have CeeDee Lamb out for this game. He'll be out for multiple weeks. And I don't think Green Bay is going to win or lose in multiple weeks. I don't think they're going to lose back-to-back. And is the screen going to let me write it? Of course they won't. But I'm going to say Green Bay, even though they won't let me put it on the screen. So I will be going with Green Bay. Of course, right before we finish, I have to fix the whiteboard. So, PJ, bear with me here for a second as we get the whiteboard back set up and ready to go. So PJ and I going down the line just to give y'all a quick recap of our picks before we do Monday Night Football. PJ and I both went with Seattle, Pittsburgh, and then he went with Atlanta and I went with Washington. So we got Seattle on PJ's side, Pittsburgh, and then Hot Atlanta with Kirk Cousins. I have Seattle, Pitt, and I'm going with Washington. And then after that, we went down the line, and PJ and I went with Buffalo, Detroit, and New England. So Buffalo, Detroit, New England, and also Phil and pardon here. So we went Buffalo. We get these up here. Buffalo, Detroit, New England. To recap our picks here for Week 5 of the NFL's 2025-26 season, we thank you for being with us on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT worldwide, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So after the New England game, we picked the Chargers as well as the Eagles and Houston. So we have Chargers, Eagles, and then the Houston Texans to get their first win of the season. And so I'll put that up on the board for each of us. And then after that Houston game, PJ and I went on to Indianapolis. He picked the Rams at home. I picked the Colts on the road to stay undefeated. Then we both went with San Francisco. So we got the LA Rams for PJ. I have Indianapolis. And then we both went San Fran over Jacksonville at home to stay undefeated and improve to 4-0. And after the San Fran game, we both went with Baltimore, then Chicago. So Baltimore and Chicago. PJ went with Dallas at home. And I went with Green Bay on the road because I want MT to still have my Asiago when I come to visit. So we got Baltimore here for me, Chicago, and I went with Green Bay. And now we have our 2 Monday night games, PJ. Monday night doubleheader 2 weeks in a row, or pardon me, 2 times this season so far. We have the Jets at Miami in the AFC East and Cincinnati at Denver. So what do you have for this one, Jets at Miami?
Philly's taking a lot of heat down there. I don't know if he's I don't know if he's going to last as a quarterback. I mean, he really gets banged up. Doesn't seem like he's playing very well. But he may not be playing very well, but I like him in this game.
So PJ is going to go with Tua to win the game at home. And as we look at, like you said, I mean, you would think that Tua is injured by the way that they're playing.
Yeah.
So, but he's not. He's been with the team, and they're 0-3 with him. The Jets are also 0-3. And Justin Fields, I mean, he's got that injury status, but if he's able to go in this game, we got a thing here that says, what's the latest with the Jets, and will he play? And so we sit here and await, will Justin Fields actually be out there? So the status update, let's take a look at this. We'll talk about that today as a staff. We'll make sure we come and then explain what he's trying to do. So I'm just looking through here to see if there's any formal update on this. I think Miami is so bad that I'm going to pick the Jets to win this game, but both teams are 0-3. Somebody will get a victory. I'm going with the Jets. Now, this is not an East Coast, West Coast, PJ. This is a East Coast, Midwest. So these games are actually going to be going on at the same time, which means you have to flip back and forth. Or if you have YouTube TV like I do, you can actually watch these games side by side. So ESPN will have New York at Miami for the Jets at the Dolphins at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, September 29th. And Cincinnati Bengals at the Denver Broncos will be at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 hour later for kickoff on ABC. What do you got for this one?
I like Cincinnati. I think that Browning's doing a good job. I think he can pan through here.
So PJ likes Cincinnati. I'm going to go with Denver's defense at home in this matchup. So PJ going with Cincinnati, and I will be going with Denver. That's what the board looks like here, folks. So we got the board up for you as we continue to make our picks every single week. And PJ and I bringing that to you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. So I will save this, put it in our archive, and have it ready for next week. PJ, always a pleasure having you on the broadcast. We're going to bring your face up here so they could see your mug one more time. But PJ, looking forward to what's going to happen in the baseball wild card. As we know, things can change literally overnight.
Yes, it's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to have my TV on this afternoon and tonight. And now with my Major League package, I can watch 8 games at once. So I will be up to date with everything.
Awesome. Well, look forward to talking with you soon, and I send you all my love.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. And coming from Papa Joe one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. So with that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show and remind you that you can be with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time and beyond that, as we are pretty much, well, we're going to hit noon before we get done today. We are up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and of course on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and typically past 11 a.m., bringing you right into your lunch. Under promise, over deliver. We say we'll be with you for 2 hours. Today, we have been with you at this point for 2 hours and 45 minutes we're about to be at. So, many thanks to everybody at Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube for allowing us to have our show on your platform. So you can search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, download our broadcasts, follow our show, and subscribe for free so you never miss a broadcast again. Many thanks to our entire team of partners in Central and Upstate New York. We appreciate and send you all love. Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Brakes, Myers Creek, 2 locations, 33 Rippleton Road in Cazenovia, and in the Syracuse Inner Harbor on 720 Van Rensselaer Street in Syracuse, New York. Of course, we are there for every Syracuse football home game in 2025. We do our Wake Up Call game day broadcast, and we will be your post-game headquarters at Myers Creek this Saturday, September 27th. The game kicks off in the Dome at noon, Syracuse versus Duke, and following the game at approximately 6 p.m., we will be on site on location at Myers Creek, bringing you Wake Up Call game day live and talking with you, the fan, while you eat dinner and enjoy some drinks at Myers Creek. As always, drink responsibly and only for those of you of age. Chick-fil-A, Cicero, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Brian's Landing, Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, as well as Game Point Sports Complex, Avicoli's, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. You'll find the Bobcats every month in what we call the Bobcat Buzz. And you'll find out what we're buzzing about with the Bobcats by simply going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist on our YouTube channel. You'll also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bearcats every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide for the Bearcat time that we have. Moments with Marshall, with Gene Marshall, their athletics director at Binghamton University, and the Bearcat Break Room with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. You will find it all by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find our Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. The Onondaga Community College Lasers are the newest exclusive multimedia marketing partner of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your lasers every other Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, that monthly opportunity. And in some cases, like October, will be tri-monthly because every other week will be the 1st, the 15th, and the 29th. And so we are with you with the Laser Lounge every other Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. The next one up is this coming Wednesday, October 1st, to start off the month of October, my birthday month, and on the birthday of one of my closest friends and brother, Mr. Ross Turetsky. You can find all of our content with OCC by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our OCC playlist. You'll also find the Lasers by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to onondaga.lasers.com and go Lasers, and shout out to the men's and women's soccer team getting their victories and for everything that they're doing, as well as all of the sports, volleyball, and everything going on at OCC. Shout out to an awesome start to the 2025-26 sports season. With that being said, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. I want to give a shout out to my Myers Creek Players of the Week, my high school Player of the Week, going to Dominic Paolini of the Liverpool boys soccer team. 2 assisted goals this week to go with 2 goals that he has this season. So he's either assisted or scored himself in each of the last 4 games en route to a 5-0-1 start for Liverpool boys soccer. So shout out to Dominic Paolini for all the work that him and his teammates have done. And he is our Player of the Week this week for high school here in Central New York. And our Syracuse Football Player of the Week, a man that forced a fumble and helped Syracuse secure something they've never done before, which is win on the road in Death Valley at Clemson. That going to true freshman linebacker hailing from Canada, Antoine Delorier. Big time shout out for a man wearing number 5, one of the best numbers historically for Syracuse football. And many thanks to Papa Joe for joining us every Thursday and giving us all the time he did with Major League Baseball, the wild card, and playoff standings that are continuing to shake up, which I love because it's making these last few series very, very interesting because a lot of things have not been set in stone yet. And of course, many thanks to PJ for making his college football picks, doing the recap of week 4, making the picks for week 5, and of course going through NFL week 3 and our picks and making our picks for week 4. With that being said, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios on Wake Up Call, be nice to each other and be kind. I apologize for any time I've ever been rude. I hope you do too. And let's be together and let's be better today than we were yesterday, better now than we were 5 minutes ago. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Shout out to the Lasers for getting me this awesome soccer shirt. And as you can see right here on my right bicep, we got Ava, number 19, celebrating Miss Ava Wood. So God bless you all. Have a fantastic day. I will see you tonight at the Wildcat. This is such an awesome time because I get to celebrate not 1, but 2 of my partners at the same time. GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night at the Wildcat. I'll be on stage. Come out, buy, sell, and trade. Bring your cards up to me. Let's make some deals. Let's have some fun together. We'll see you at GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night at the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue, Camillus, New York, Home Depot Plaza, 2 night, September 25th. It starts at 6 and it goes to 9:30, and I cannot wait to see you out there. In the meantime, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I say, God bless. No stress. Do your best. Have a great day. Stay safe. Be good to each other and yourself.